All right, I think we're ready to get started. Thank you. Thank you. My name is Jasmine Yu. I'm your host tonight. Well, welcome to the event. Good morning, good evening, wherever you are. Thank you for joining. My name is Jasmine Yu. I'm one of your hosts tonight.
Good morning and good evening, everyone. My name is Ling, also your host of tonight.
Perfect. Well, welcome to the 4th Annual NATEA Women Summit. We're so glad to have you here. NATEA stands for North America Taiwanese Engineering Association. But I'm sure, as you'll see from tonight's event, this is not just about engineering. Our inspiring speakers are going to bring you industry insights, their inspiring life story. And I hope that through tonight's event, you feel being closer as a part of the community. Now, I just want to express a special gratitude towards our co-host, Mount W.I.S.E, 美西玉山科技协会, and our media partner, Meet Global, 创业小聚. This event is also being streamed on the platform of Meet Global. Now, if you haven't already joined part of the NATEA community, feel free to scan the QR code as it's shown on the screen to join our Facebook group, also sign up our newsletter so that you can stay in touch of all the awesome events that we have planned for the rest of the year. Now, I see some people are already doing this, but during the event, feel free to use the emoji in the Zoom bar to let us know how you feel. And lastly, if you have questions and feedback for us, we'll also be sending our post-event survey. So please feel free to fill it out and give us very valuable feedback.
Now let's welcome Dr. Xianghe Li, NATEA's president this year, and also our first female president, to deliver the welcome remarks.
I cannot start with. Okay, I hope that everyone can see me well. Okay, good evening, everyone, and good morning to the friends from Taiwan. Welcome to this special event. This is the 4th year that NATEA is hosting the Women's Summit. My name is Xianghe Li, the president of NATEA. I'm also the climate scientist working at the Lawrence Livermore National Laboratory. It is my honor to serve as the board member at NATEA since last year and be elected as the president this year. NATEA is a nonprofit and professional organization founded in 1991 in Silicon Valley, California. Over the past 30 years, we have proudly connected innovative leaders with the community and broadened the impact by sharing the business insights and entrepreneurial experience. With members' talents and professional expertise, NATEA provides a technical service for Taiwanese American and the local mainstream community starting in the Silicon Valley. And then they extended into the other major cities in the United States and Canada through our regional chapters. We just established a new chapter in Arizona last year. We organized the various conferences and summit forums on different topics with local university, governments, academia, and the private sector to facilitate the science and the technology information exchange between the US and Taiwan. So welcome you to join the NATEA. Today's event is the Women's Summit. The theme of the International Women's Day 2024 is the Invest in Women, Accelerate Progress. We know that the world is facing many crises, from geopolitical conflicts to the escalating the impact of the climate change. By investing in women, we can spark the change and speed out the transition toward a healthier, safer, and a more equal world for all. Investing in women is not just a moral imperative, it is also a strategic imperative for building a more sustainable future. When we invest in women, we invest in family, communities, and economies. We unlock the untapped talent, drive innovation, and fuel economic growth. Of course, do not underestimate the economic growth brought by the women. As we convene this summit, We want to emphasize the least voice and support women-led initiatives and dismantle the systematic, the barriers that stop the progress. I'm the first female president of the NATEA, and nowadays, though, our board members are female. I'm glad that we made a change today. We must ensure women and girls are given the equal opportunity to build their capabilities and strengthen their capacity to learn, earn, and lead. That's why we want to continue the Women's Summit to get more inspirations from our outstanding speakers who share their difficult decisions and life experience. Today, I believe we will hear a lot of the wonderful stories. I hope that you will enjoy today's event. Let me pass the floor to our keynote moderator, Zhiling.
I think I cannot start my video. Okay, sorry, give me a... Okay. So it's our greatest honor to introduce you Dr. Shirley Meng, Professor of Molecular Engineering at the University of Chicago and Chief Scientist of Energy Storage Science at Argonne National Laboratory, as our distinguished keynote speaker. Dr. Meng received her PhD in Advanced Materials for Micro and Nano Systems from the Singapore NID Alliance. Currently, she leads groundbreaking research at the Laboratory of Energy Storage and Conversion, focusing on designing advanced materials for energy storage through computational methods and advanced characterizations. Dr. Meng has been recognized with prestigious awards, including the Faraday Medal of the Royal Chemistry Society, International Battery Association Research Award, and the NSF Career Award. We are excited to hear Dr. Meng share her inspiring journey. Welcome, Shirley. The floor is all yours.
Thank you, Lynn. Thank you for the kind invitation to join this wonderful event. I have to say it's my first time with the NATEA community, and hopefully that it's possible for me to come back again to talk to you about this topic very close to my heart called Becoming Wise. And I am a woman in science and engineering. I think, yeah. Lynn, is that possible? I can show some slides. I can share, yeah, easily.
Yes, for sure.
Okay, wonderful.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's my occupational hazard as a professor that if I speak without a slide, I feel nervous. Okay, so let me get started. I think I will start by showing you in very brilliant work by Claudia Golding, who's a Harvard professor. Hopefully she will become a speaker in the future for your community. She has done some really wonderful job to look at the 100 years, I would say, journey across a century for women. And if you look at her research work, she got a Nobel Prize last year for economics. I would like to show this as a big picture to set the stage for my talk today. I think if you look at, the fraction between female and the male, I think the president just now said really well that the female is half of the populations, and obviously, we are occupying the bachelor degree. In fact, back in 1990s, already the fraction of women who obtain bachelor degree already surpassed the male in US. So we are absolutely a strong force for economic growth. And I think it's very interesting, there's an interesting survey or a study done many years ago. They framed the question very, to me, very funny, saying preschool children are likely to suffer if your mother works. And you can see the general opinions that, in the past, 90% of the men think it's bad for women to work. And today, only 30% of the men think it's bad women are working. Like our children will suffer if women are working. So I want to to set the stage in 100 years, I think women have come a long way. You know, the society is changing. Even though, you know, we are still facing a lot of challenges, I do want all of us remember that we have made a lot of progress. So a little bit about myself. Actually, there is a website called LESC, MENG, that's a Laboratory for Energy Storage and Conversion. It's my group website. I just want to give a brief introduction. I was born in beautiful Hangzhou in China. And at age 17, I went to Singapore for my undergraduate study under full scholarship offered by Singapore government. It was a life-changing experience for me. And I decided to stay in Singapore and became a Singaporean. Singapore government was extremely generous to me, and I was offered again full scholarship to go for PhD study at Singapore MIT Alliance, where I also spent half year in Bordeaux in France. As you know, one of the best wine places to be a graduate student. Throughout the journey, I met my husband, who is from Australia, Sydney. So I spent time in Australia quite a bit, and my home in San Diego. I think hopefully some of you have visited. I have built my career over a very interesting journey that I will share with you. This is me, 2008, with first batch of my graduate student. I'll tell you a few stories about the graduate students. And I have to say the journey as a professor is a very fulfilling one. And I wish more women will be joining the STEM journey, becoming wise. And I have many children. I mean, they are all my kids. I have, absolute great experience. And this is me, 1976. I think from the closing, you can see that I was born right after the Cultural Revolution. In fact, back in October 1976, my parents are still wearing the style of clothes that is the Maoist time, the Cultural Revolution time. But this is really the start of my journey to become wise. My father is a civil engineer who worked on building hydroelectric dam. You can see his bright, beautiful smile. Even though he suffered around 11 years in the re-education camp during the Cultural Revolution, he gave me the best education that I could have hoped for. And I think one of the first books he gave me made me aware of this wonderful lady, Madame Marie Curie. And in Curie's story, I mean, among the 100 scientists, there is only one that is twice Nobel laureate, and that is Madame Marie Curie. And her words about nothing in life is to be feared. It is only to be understood. It's my guiding principle in life. I think it's really important that we are not governed by fear when we make decisions, but trying to do more and step out of comfort zones to do more things. So my introduction to material science and engineering is when I arrived in Singapore, I had the pleasure meeting a very wise professor who told me about how human history are governed by materials. We had a Stone Age, Bronze Age, Iron Age, and Information Age. Silicon is the key materials. And if you really look at how my journey go to material science and engineering, I chose material science and engineering because I was really fascinated by how humans can actually make objects or materials that are stronger and better than what nature can produce. So I was very much hoping that I could join aerospace engineering and perhaps work as engineers that serve a lot of the Boeing airplanes. But unfortunately, that's the time where I experienced a very big failure. I think I failed at the interviews during the internship exam. And I remember my professors saw me crying in the corner, and then he invited me to do a research topic called superconductors. It is a fascinating experience during that summer, and we made superconductors. That's in the late 90s, and really changed my view about how magical when the magnetic levitation happened in front of my eyes. I think that's one of the wow moments that I decided that I would dedicate my career and my time for material science and engineering. So Chinese has the word that 塞翁失马焉知非福. Yeah, so one of the first thing, it's in English you say blessing in disguise, but I want to say that failure is very common in our life. I think we actually should not call it a failure, because it's just a setback. So we should always be reminded by what Winston Churchill said. Failure is not fatal. It's actually the courage that after failure, how you continue, that counts, right? So I hope everybody remember that. So when I started my career in 2000 as a graduate student, I already considered that time as a career building time. In fact, battery research. So I think a lot of you all have lithium-ion batteries. Perhaps you don't know how the battery works. So I would like to spend a couple of minutes to explain to you how a lithium-ion battery works and how that revolutionized the wireless communication and really changed the way how we live. If you look around today, my phone, my laptop, my toothbrush, my hairdryer, a lot of things are run on batteries, and I drive electric cars. Back in 2000, when I started the research in material science, there is this called intercalation chemistry. So your battery basically is two electrodes, negative and positive, and there's this electrolyte that transport ions. But you could imagine that you're just shuffling the ions between the two bookshelves, and the two bookshelves have different energy levels. And the beautiful thing is if you design the materials perfectly to what, according to this drawing, that the oxygen sits in the corner, the transition metal and the lithium sits in the octahedron sides, or the negative electrode side is the materials everybody familiar with because they're just the graphite. And if you make those cells, engineer it well, they can cycle hundreds and thousands of cycles, right? So this is the way how material scientists, when we look at batteries, it's not a black box where you just have a positive and negative electrode, but instead it's a very beautiful pictures where we can do a lot of advanced materials engineering. And because it's a device that convert chemical energy and electrical energy reversibly for thousands of times. So we actually really changed the way how people live, right? So if you look at the entire history of industrial revolution, you will realize actually battery coincide really well with the beginning of industrial revolution. In fact, the first alkaline battery is made by Sir Alexander Volta. This is the famous Volta pile. Actually, you still use it today because it's still in the AA batteries. And then the French scientist Planté invented the lead acid batteries. It's still one of the major battery technologies for today. In the 60s, we had the nickel metal hydride batteries invented by Dr. Olshinsky. And in the 1990s, we had the commercialization of the lithium-ion batteries. But it's not until 2019, these two professors, Professor Whittingham, Professor Goodenough, actually received the Nobel Prize for intercalation chemistry, the one that I just showed you. Those are invented by these two, plus the electrolyte from a Japanese engineer, Akira Yoshino, who actually got the Nobel Prize. So today, of course, look at the youngsters among all the battery technologies, we can actually have really beautiful electric cars. And if we look into the future, it's even more exciting because, Nobel Prize is given in 2019, but we have so many other applications could be unlocked by new types of batteries, Internet of Things, wearables, robots, flying cars, like, drones is outdated, right? Right now, we're actually trying to put people into the flying drones. So yeah, I live in Chicago. Sometimes the traffic is so bad that you really want a flying car so that you can beat the traffic. And the ultimate crown jewel for batteries is really try to figure out the renewables, how we can have enough storage for the renewables. And I want to emphasize that back in 2000, when I was a graduate student, right, the batteries cost was so high, it's basically cost prohibitive. So I want to tell you, in the 30 years, what did we do? We actually improved the energy density of batteries 3 times and reduced the cost more than 10 times. And that's where industrialization really happens. And the approach that I use, I'm a scientist, right? So the approach I use is actually quite unique because we are using some of the most advanced microscopy to look at the particles. So here, this is not a simulation. This is real pictures of how the materials used in your battery look like on the ultra high resolutions. I mean, this arrow bar, this scale bar here is 1 nanometer. So basically what you're seeing is all the metal ions are being arranged perfectly, like beautifully with oxygen. And in between of those metals, you can have lithium ions transport very fast. And then when you have some kind of degradation happened, the surface will be degraded. So that's where, I think we can, when we find out where the problem is for the materials degradation, as doctor for batteries, then we can assign mitigation strategies, right? So it's one of those approaches that in my career we adopted to really try to decipher how battery degrade from atomistic level and molecular level. And hence I'm in the School of Molecular Engineering, because we really are trying to decipher how things fail and how things function at the atomic and the molecular level. And when you have those degradation, you will have lithium slow down. But if you don't have those degradation, you can have fast charging, you can have very high power batteries. So those work is very important. So throughout my career, we developed the entire metrologies to look at how battery function, from, milliseconds, microseconds, all the way to years. And then from the length scale, we look at from nanometer to micrometer to centimeter. So all these scientific tools are being developed to try to understand how we can build better batteries for the future. So I want to emphasize a few things that in the scientific or in the STEM field, it is important to keep an open mind and welcome collaborative team science. And at the same time, as an individual, it is important to take risk and be bold. And then also our work has to be very quantitative. Yeah, so I want to show you a couple of interesting examples what I mean by that, right? So I was very fortunate to be in this DOE-funded Energy Frontier Research Center. Actually, our director is, when he was our director, he was not a Nobel laureate, but when, towards the end in 2019, the director won the Nobel Prize. And recently, again, we're in this consortium to actually build better batteries. And I want to say, to be able to have a very consistent fundings to work on this area is a privilege that I have. So lithium metal, I think a lot of people probably know lithium metal, from the early days of periodic table, after hydrogen is lithium, and the lithium is lightest the metal, very reactive. Yeah, so I just want to everybody aware that in about 200 years ago, in Stockholm, Johan Arvidsson found the lithium metal and successfully isolated lithium metal. And the lithium actually makes everybody happy. Actually, lithium is heavily used in the medical field as an antidepressant element. And the lithium metal is actually pretty tricky to study under the microscope because, when you actually electrochemically deposit the lithium, they always grow in this kind of whiskers form. And actually it makes it extremely difficult to study, and lithium metal batteries therefore never gets commercialized. We actually have to use graphite to host the lithium metal, because otherwise when you grow it, you just grow this kind of viscous structures that actually cause a lot of degradation in the lithium batteries. So, to develop cryogenic techniques, I'm not sure in the audience if there's any people from biology. One of the important lesson I learned from my work is that it is really important to bridge different field. So when we had so much trouble to characterize lithium in the conventional TEM, you can see how the lithium is already degrading and moving around. When we do this, we can actually freeze the lithium, just like we do the cryogenic imaging for biological samples. And that actually enabled a huge paradigm shift how people look at a reactive metal like lithium metal. So it was an extremely productive period of time where we can work with people in the biology and to think about how we can actually design better lithium metal anode to enable high energy battery materials. And this cryogenic techniques, even though invented very early in the 1970s for material science, but it's heavily used in biology. And, as you know, earlier in the last decade, cryo-EM also got Nobel Prize, but they actually, because they discovered the Zika and the Ebola image all those viruses. But today, the whole material science community, especially the ones who are working on soft materials, polymeric materials, catalysis, battery materials, we are actually utilizing this tool that are optimized from the biology side. So what I mean by you can make a really high energy and safe batteries, right? So in your current batteries, the volume is pretty large because you have carbon, you have the metal oxides, and then you're shuffling the lithium in between. But in the future, we should be able to replace the carbon with the really, really thin, ultra thin lithium metal. So what I mean by this is that, you can actually kind of, really have a very high energy density batteries without worrying about catching fires or being unsafe. I think everybody knows that, and this kind of batteries could potentially lead to each charge, you can drive your car 600, 700 kilometers. It will be really outperforming what the internal combustion car can do, right? So our goal is not to just replace the internal combustion cars. I mean, the society move forward because we offer a better technology solution. So that's what we are aiming for. And if you look at it today, it's very exciting this year. The lithium-ion battery production is over 1 terawatt hour per year. And of course, the leading entities are China, Korea, Japan. And it made the Western world very worried because, okay, what's going to happen, that US and Europe do not have our own manufacturing capability. So I think as folks from Taiwan, as we all know, semiconductor industry facing the similar challenge. But I want to, as a chief scientist for National Laboratory, I want to say, 1 terawatt hour is enough to power the US grid for 1 hour, right? So if we talk about energy transition, we're talking about hundreds of terawatt hour. So the game just started, and the vision for future is that we will need, because of we have 8.5 billion people in the world, and all of us are going to have the electrified e-mobility, and we're going to use grid storage. I mean, that's considered if the hydrogen and the hydro is very successful. So we will need 200 to 300 terawatt hour batteries. So the game just started. It's only 1% done, and there's plenty of room left. And it's not a zero-sum game because everybody will need better batteries to face the future of electrification of our entire society. So yeah, I think I want to share with you the next decade of energy storage is actually extremely exciting. I think, my host, Lynn, Also, I have worked on solid state batteries, and we're working on sodium batteries that actually do not use any critical currents. And we're working hard on novel architectures that potentially can allow 5 minutes charging discharge, really super fast charging for the device. So I was very blessed by funding. So the U.S. Department of Energy, since Obama time, has been extremely supportive for battery research, national science foundations, and many industrial folks. I think the group is about half. So these are all my alumni. They are not my current group members. I think as a professor, I have to say I have graduated quite a lot of students from my group. And for me, those are the real achievements and the product. I mean, the people, they will go out to change the world. And I think very happy to say that it has been a very productive journey. So far I've told you all the nice things happened, but I do want to say there are still many problems. This again from Professor Claudia Goldin. I want to cite her again. I encourage you to watch her YouTube video. I think if you look at the pay gap, equal pay is still not achieved. On average, I think women are paid 80 cents per dollar compared to our male colleagues. And it puzzles me and everybody so much. So notice it's a percentage. So in the college graduate workers, we are 70 over $1. And Claudia's work actually explained clearly that this data, how they obtained and why this is the real data. And I personally, in 2016, had to do a fight with my previous employer to do the equal pay. So I would say that it's not all rosy pictures. There are still societal problems that we have to work hard to actually close the pay gap between men and women. My decision to move to the Pritzker School of Molecular Engineering is largely driven by the equal treatment. I think the engineering school in Chicago is extremely good at gender equity and diversity. And more importantly, I was given a very important job to be the chief scientist for Argonne Collaborative Center for Energy Storage Science. So I think the move so far has been pretty good. Before I close the keynote talk, I would like to just reflect upon what makes me kind of what experience and the practice is something more practical that I can share with the audience, because obviously not all of you are battery scientists, not all of you have PhD degrees, but I think one of the few principles in my life, the first one, there are many important decisions to make throughout your life. And I always make my decisions when I'm in the very calm and happy state. I always remember, I think this is South Africa's Mandela, Nelson Mandela said this, may your choices reflect your hopes, not your fears. I think it's very important when we make important life decisions that we should always say this sentence to ourselves. May your choice reflect your hope, not your fear. And I think I've been following this principle all the time. I think it is important that we remain calm when we make important decisions. And I am someone who is an immigrant and also, kind of come to the United States to build the dream. I think the United States obviously is a place where you can say nothing is impossible. Impossible only takes longer time. And I learned from a lot of my male mentors. I not just have female as my mentor. I also have a few good men that actually are very nice to give me advice. And I think building a support system is where both at work and at home are extremely important, because no one can do everything, right? So we will have to have a support system. And they always say, every successful man behind them, there's a dedicated woman. I think there's no difference in this case for the woman, right? I do practice happiness every day. I follow very closely what the Dalai Lama wrote about the book about happiness. I think happiness is like a muscle. You will have to practice every day to make sure that you are very resilient towards the unpredictable world. You know, there's almost every day there are very bad things happening. So we will have to kind of practice happiness. And give you example, you know, my son, you know, waking up my son in the morning is absolutely a happiness practice for me. I absolutely enjoy doing it. And last but not least, I hope I already demonstrate to you that you will always lean in when the opportunity is right. And so the first point, the last point, circle back to the first point, that when opportunity is good, that you definitely don't let fear stop you and make the good choice. So let me, you know, just conclude by saying that I won't be where I am without my loving husband, who is also a professor in economics. Actually, he introduced me to Claudia Golding's work. And this is actually my family. Actually, the kid is already taller than us. He grew a lot in the last few years. I would say my motivation, the ultimate motivation is love. I just know it sounds very cheesy, but I think the absolute love for the planet, for the family, for myself, and I think I love what you know, U.S. represents, the democracy and the freedom and the individual values in this place. And I just want to say that I really appreciate the opportunities I was given in this land. So with that, I think I can take some questions, and thank you very much for listening.
Can someone enable my video? I think I cannot. Okay, sorry. Thank you, Sherry, very much for this informative and like inspiring speech. I think, and regarding our time, we are not have like Q&A session in here, but I think since you will be our next panel, next section panel, so I think we will have our host deliver a question in their stage. But thank you again for this really informative. I think I got a free battery material lecture. Just really appreciate that. And I think I can also resonate that when you talk about like you being inspired by the material you see doing research. I think I also have this kind of moment. So I think as a material scientist, it's really awesome. And I think for the audience, if you have any, we do have closed caption. So if so it's feel free to activate the closed caption. Also have a traditional Chinese option, so feel free to use it. And now let's shift our focus to our first panel discussion, Invest in Us. Please give us a warm welcome to our moderator, Alice, as she introduces our panelists.
Alice, you're on mute.
All right, thank you. Sorry for that mistake. Yeah, really thanks our keynote speaker, Dr. Meng, on speaking today. And welcome to panel 1, Investing in U.S. Supporting Women Through Mentorship and Community Building. We are so honored to have our keynote speaker, Dr. Shirley Seilonga, to join our discussion with our other outstanding women, Ginger and Nana. So let me give you a brief overview for these two speakers. So for Ginger, the former director of engineering at Lockman, she is a leader with a strong big data engineering background. Over the course of her career, she built and led cross-functional engineering teams that provide critical engineering services to product teams, business units, insight, sales, legal, and marketing teams. Notably, Ginger is passionate about mentorship, having conducted over 30 career-related trainings and workshops. Ginger studied her undergrad in statistics at National Chengchi University and postgrad studied both in statistics and computer science at Stanford University. So welcome, Ginger. I just give the virtual plot.
Hi.
Yes, thank you. And for Nana, currently serving as the Chief Procurement Officer and VP of External Manufacturing. Prior joining onsemi, she was Vice President of Sales at Advanced Semiconductor Engineering, ASE, the world's largest provider of independent manufacturing services in assembly and test. She also recognized as the 2023 World Top 100 Female CPO. Nana is also now a chairwoman at W.I.S.E. Nana holds a bachelor's degree from UC Berkeley and an MBA from MIT Sloan School. Welcome, Nana. On the stage. Oh, can you see Nana?
Can you hear me? Hello.
Hello, hi, Nana. Okay, yes. So my name is Alice, founder and business innovation consultant at Alice Lab. This is my third year attending NATEA's Women Summit as a moderator to highlight Asian women. Reminder for today that we don't have a live Q&A, but you can use emoji reaction to echo our talk. Yeah, during the section, so we know that okay, you're echoing, you agree, and you resonated with us. So let me just dive into our first question. Each of you have a very special career transitions from science, from different background. And like Dr. Mon said, we are all like immigrants and resilience and such. So I want to start with Nana to share about your career transition.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you for inviting me to this talk. And Dr. Meng, that was a really nice keynote. Really enjoy that. So yeah, so I think based on Alice's introduction, I actually had my undergraduate degree in finance. And the story is, as Asian, you kind of felt you like to stay with numbers, right? That's your comfort zone. So I pretty much decided that that would be my undergraduate degree in finance. But after doing 2 years out of college, I decided that it's something that, that just doesn't interest me as much because later on I realized I really like to work with people. So then I went to go and get my MBA. And after that, I went to do few years as management consultant in Singapore. So Dr. Mann, it was a life-changing kind of a milestone for me. But it was again, management consulting. You do a lot of strategy, you do a lot of proposals, but you never really get to see how it works in action. Right. So then later on, when I moved back to the United States, because I met my husband for family, I moved back to the United States. I took the opportunity to pivot to sales. Now that's the ultimate measurable position, right? So you're being measured by your revenue. So after 18 years at ASE, I actually had this opportunity to be the CPO of onsemi. This was about almost 2.5 years ago now. So I pivoted again from sales to procurement, which is definitely a lot more operational, a lot more technical, a lot more details, but it really gives you a good appreciation of the more holistic view of what business is about. So that's pretty much kind of my story of my career transition.
Thank you, Nana. Let's start, Ginger.
Yes. So I studied statistics in my undergrad, and I came here for my statistics degree, master degree at Stanford. But 3,000 years ago, statistics wouldn't be able to find you a job here in the Bay Area, especially when you don't have a green card. And I really wanted to stay here and be with my husband. And so the best way is really to get into computer science, and that's survival. So I applied for a computer science master degree at Stanford, and obviously I got rejected because I wasn't good enough. I didn't have any background in undergrad or master degree. But I had the guts to call up the admission, the chairman of admission committee in computer science, and to challenge them their decision. I decided I'm good enough. Why did you reject me? So they gave me the reason. They say, well, it's not your grade, but your statement of purpose is not strong enough. And I told them that's not fair. I'm Chinese. We're taught to be humble. Give me another chance. I'll write a fancy one like you guys do. And then he looked again and he said, well, your recommendation letters are average, not strong enough. And I said, that's not fair. And he said, not fair again. And I said, yeah, because when I applied for this degree, I was only here for 2 months. Nobody knew me. Give me another chance. I'll give you another 3 strong recommendation letters because now everybody loves me. I'm great. And so he couldn't argue with me. And he said, okay, young lady, I'll give you 2 weeks and you're going to rewrite your statement of purpose and give me another strong recommendation letter. So I did. And I cannot believe 12 people in the mission committee at computer science department, they debated 1 hour and I got in. And the chairman of computer science called me in person, congratulate me. And he said, nobody's ever done this before and nobody will in the future. That's how I got into computer science. And obviously I was miserable, but now I'm a lot better. And I just want to share that you always want to fight for the opportunity you want. You don't fight, the chance is 0. You fight, the chance is greater and equal to 0. You have nothing to lose. What's going to happen? They can reject me again, right? So that's the spirit. I'm done.
Yeah, I really resonated what you said, and then kind of echo to the Dr. Meng's quote, like dare to dream. I think that's just US. Everything is possible. It's not impossible. And then you fight for your right, and then you believe in yourself, and then you prove that you are capable for that. Yeah, that's really awesome. And Dr. Meng, what's your career transition?
Yeah, so maybe I would just, I already said a lot about myself. I feel like bad to occupy even more time. Yeah, just a quick story about the transition, from California to Chicago. Yeah, a lot of people were raising their eyebrow. What? You moved from San Diego to Chicago? Yeah, I think that, this transition really taught me a lot of interesting things about how US is manufacturing. Actually, there's a lot of brain powers in the 2 coast levels, but then in the Midwest, in fact, this is the best place for doing manufacturing. However, I think the ecosystem for talented people, I think, Chicago can do a lot to attract. I just want to say that sometimes it is necessary to step a little bit out of the comfort zone to do things that are needed for the whole field. And I'm very lucky that I still get to go to San Diego sometimes, because actually my school, previous UC San Diego actually said, oh, why don't we keep you as an adjunct professor because you're doing important things for the nation. We're going to support you. So yeah, I think I get the best out from both worlds. So I think sometimes taking risks, doing things, it might come out with something unexpected. And I really hope that, people not always thinking things are zero sum. There's always wiggle room for kind of making a good deal for everybody.
Yeah, totally agree. And I know you guys also briefly mentioned about some family. So we're kind of gonna jump to the question about the I feel Dr. Meng just kind of summarized all the quotes. Work life. Yeah, so I really like that what you guys said. And then during our initial meeting with Ginger and Nana, that we talk about build a support system. So and then here at NATEA, we're all in some of them in their late 20s, mid 30s, and then having family and marry, having kids and such. So we wanted to learn more about not talk about work-life balance, but it's more about how you build your support system and how you juggling both because I remember one of you told me that you never miss any kids performance or tournaments and such. That's very impressive, especially in the US. There's so many things going on. And so yeah, how about let's start with Ginger.
Okay, so that's the commitment me and my husband made, family first, regardless. And I remember my neighbors teased me and my husband, the WIMPist stand for grad, because we were like so focused on our family. And I told my neighbor, but we are the happiest WIMPs. Because we spend so much time with our kids, right? And so what we did is we spend money like crazy, like there's no tomorrow. Anything we can do, we hire housekeeper, we hire gardener, we hire cleaner, we just subcontract everything so that we have time for our kids when we are home. That's the number one thing we do. And money, we can always make it back later. But kids, they're gone in 18 years. So that's our number one priority. Number two, so me and my husband, we support each other a lot. So we would always has one back up the other, not like one's working, the other is not. So we back each other up. Another thing I did is I set boundary with my boss. I basically told my boss, I'm out by 5, but I'll be back online around 9:30 or 10 when kids go to sleep, and I can work as long as I need. I will not sleep any schedule, but please respect my personal time with my kids. And my boss honored that. But why my boss would honor that? Obviously, he's a nice guy. But the other thing is important is if you deliver, if you prove that you are trustworthy and you're on top of your games, your boss will be willing to create that bandwidth for you. So that's the tips for us to spending so much time with our kids and making sure every step of the way they are our number one priority.
That's very impressive. Yeah. How about Dr. Meng?
Yeah, so I only have one kid. After having the first one, I realized how much work is involved. And then, I would say that the rule number one, I think Ginger said so well, is that, I think if we can outsource some important, critical, but then, things that other people can help us to do, we should definitely do that. Yeah, I remember when I was assistant professor, I had my son, and 60% of my take-home salaries all goes to the nanny. And I told my husband, it's an investment. It's like I'm doing MBA, you have to invest the money. But I did the MBA with my kid. So but it was only a 2 years period of time. And I think it's some of the best money I have spent. So well said, Ginger. And then I think at work, maybe I can share a little bit about building a good support system at work. I think for me, it is really important that we treat our students as our future colleagues, because I believe the best professors produce students 青出于蓝而胜于蓝, so they will do better in career than the professors. So it's very important to respect the students and the postdocs during the training process. So they're basically on the training with me. Yeah, I will tell you, my students provided so much support for me. Yeah, they volunteered to watch the kid when I was busy in the lab. And sometimes, I feel very bad. I would say, as you know, that we have to help each other. Of course, when my students and postdoc, I have many students, the postdoc had children during their PhD trainings and the postdoc trainings, which is not very common in the STEM field. But I think that if they see I can do it, they can do it, and then we support each other. So I think that's probably, if at workplace, we can find this kind of support system, build such good ecosystem, I think, good things will happen. Yeah, that's all.
Yeah, building a good support system, not with the family, but also work, and building that trust relationship with your boss. And so that to show that you are able to deliver, and then you can be, and then your superior can respectful for your time at home as well. And for Nana, how do you manage the work and life?
Yeah, so I really felt a warmth when I hear Ginger and Dr. Mon talking about outsourcing a nanny, because I always felt a little bit hesitant to bring that up but it's so true, right? And that's actually one of the thing I wanted to bring up is hire a good nanny, right? And somebody you can trust. And the reason it was kind of a little bit of a at least a bit controversial, especially with my in-laws, is that how could you outsource parenting, right? But we are not, right? I mean, we are. I mean, the nanny is doing a lot of the logistic support, right? But at the end of the day, you go home, you spend quality time, and so I think, you know, and I echo with everything Ginger and Dr. Mon said, so I won't repeat. But I feel one of the things that's important is also, why do we want to go out to work? Because it makes us happy, right? So when it's giving us happiness, it's generating positive energy, right? When we come home, if we're happy with our work, we come home happy, and we can be a better, in my mind, right, can be a better mom, right? If I'm not doing something I'm happy and I feel stressed or bored at home, I don't think it's a positive thing, right? So I think it's really, everybody's different, by the way, right? So where you seek your happiness. So for me, it's about really managing that energy. When you're at work, you want to maintain that energy level, and you want to make sure you achieve a certain level of satisfaction, job satisfaction, so you can be happy and bringing that happy energy home so that your family can feel that this is a good thing for you. So I think that's kind of really how I try to balance, right? And continue to motivate myself to move forward. And of course, the support of my husband or your family, your immediate spouse, I think is very, very important. Yeah.
I think so does the phrase happy wife, happy life, but it's also happy husband as well. So we're supporting each other, and then the whole family has a positive outcomes coming out. Yeah. And then when you guys are talking about like your career transitions and how you escalated up to your former position and your current position, what is your leadership management looks like? Because I have an experience now, like, you know, sometimes it's harder for women to establish their leadership style. Some people would describe as emotional, and some people would think that you're still too weak, you're not strong enough. So how do you establish your leadership style? Let's start with Nana.
Okay. I guess I think the key, you have to be yourself. So yes, but I don't know about emotional, because I've met men who are really emotional as well. It's really how you vote, right? How you manage that, right? And there's actually nothing wrong with being emotional sometimes. It actually works as long as you don't break out into tears, right? But I mean, it's okay to show your emotions, that you don't agree, you're angry, right? To be a bit more upfront, because I think that's part of the problem, is we try to suppress a lot of that, right? So I would say my leadership style, I definitely is a very inclusive style, that I'm the type that I've actually want to be leading the army, right? I wouldn't be sitting back there and kind of try to mastermind everything. I actually would like to lead the team and be very engaged. I really value teamwork, and I want to make the experience really fun for the team, the learning experience, the growth, and to win, right? I mean, in what I do, whether it's in sales or in sourcing, procurement, it's a lot about getting things done, achieving savings or revenues or whatever it is, right? So there's a lot of milestones and that, we can really target. So I want to make sure that people are, enjoy that and learn from that journey with me or with the team. So, yeah.
Oh, and for Nana, and for Ginger.
Okay, I forgot to unmute myself. For me, I think the most important thing for me is integrity. So what I mean by that is like lead by example, and I walk the walk, and I'm actually very fair. I hold people accountable. I do manage low performers out, and I do make sure I reward the right people. And so that's how I earn trust from my team. But I also foster trust within my own team. So what I do to foster trust is that I make sure I provide full transparency. So when things are not transparent, people start making up stories, making assumptions, and rumors going, dramas happen. And so I make absolutely sure I have full transparency. And one thing is very important is that I also provide psychological safety, meaning people are able to openly, confront me, challenge me without fearing consequence. So I'll give an example. One time, I was proposing we do something, and then there's this guy just say, "Hey, Ginger, that's the most stupidest idea I ever heard." Okay, and my immediate response was, "Okay, please help educate me how stupid I am. I'm all ears. Let's debate." Okay, and then he would tell me, "Did you think about this and that?" And I say, "Got it, but did you think about this and that? And did you think about this?" And so we have very healthy debates. And at the end, obviously, I mostly win, but I'm just kidding. Whoever right, we hear each other out. When you are able to encourage healthy debates, you learn a lot from everybody, and people are able to speak up. So my whole team, they really trust each other. Everybody knows, the whole team succeed together or fail together. And I think that's the key. That's my style. Another thing I do extra is I do serving. I do believe manager need to be serving like a nanny. We provide services and making sure not only we grow, our team grow with us, and make sure my team grow and help each other grow. I think grow for me is extremely important. People help each other and to build up. And the same thing with family, husband. I told my kids, you want to find a partner that can help you grow, not bring you down.
Yeah, totally agree with that. And for Dr. Mo?
Yeah, well said. I think Nana and Ginger. Yeah, I will just add on this about the scientific leadership, because I think leadership with people and the leadership in the technical side they're slightly different. So I would say that one of the things I really enjoy doing is to set time to learn every year. That you have to actually be very disciplined to actually learn the most cutting edge stuff, because I think as a technical leader in person, it is critical for us, for instance, now, machine learning, AI, or automations, autonomous lab, all these things are constantly changing, and it can be quite overwhelming, especially for like already established group like ours, because we have built a lot of the infrastructure from the traditional way how material science are done. But now, with all the improvement in the hardware, softwares, algorithms, I think, for me, I think all the leaders should set time, 1 or 2 weeks every year at least, to do nothing but dedicated to learning. For me, as a technical leader, I think this is extremely important. And I think, in our field, we have something called the Garden Research Conferences. And even though we are we already have many students who can do work, but we want to sit there to learn as a student from the other top scientists and the technologists. The other thing I would say that I really think that there's a transformation in me from being a scientist to chief scientist. I think chief scientists have to take care of translational impactful work. It's not just about publishing work, but you have to think about how the work can impact the society and create societal values, from the government fundings all the way to generate GDPs and progress, and then how we make sure US is taking the leader positions. So I would say to go out to speak with our industrial partners is extremely satisfying. Yeah, I have to say there was this in the academic field and the industry, we have this sometimes lack of mutual respect, that industry think we're not doing useful things, and we think industry are not doing the most cutting edge things. But I do think that in the end, if we all have a common goal, that how we actually push the leadership, into the US to the cutting edge, I think that the differences can be sorted out, and then we can actually find that the academia provide the knowledge and the human capital for the industry, and we can be guided by the industry for more relevant work. But then at the same time, industry should also appreciate our crazy idea. I mean, really crazy idea. We have graduate students and professors who really want to do out of box things that has never been done in industry. And I think that allowing us to have this kind of freedom is very important. Yeah, so I think that, leadership style is open mind, really, yeah, have to always keep an open mind that always think we can be improved. Even though we are already in that position, we can do even better if we keep improving ourselves and keep talking to people who are not in our same field.
It made me think about other questions. Like, so do you, it's open to three of you. Like learning, like as a leader, do you guys also do any like specific, like special team exercise with your team where you have your way to do the team building exercise? Yeah. Anyone can share. Nana, you want to go first?
I was just doing one recently, so I kind of reacted to it immediately. Yes, definitely, that's actually a very good way to do some team building because, obviously I don't know everything. And I like them to know that I don't know everything and that I'm leaning on them to step up, right, and to cover me, right? So it's also a very good opportunity to kind of learn together, and like whether it's a negotiation skill, right? There's no right or wrong, right, in those kind of things, right? But just to be able to appreciate everybody's different style and strategy is also a very good way to get to know each other. So definitely, I think it's a good way to do team building and to really relate to the team and also to get them comfortable, right? Back to Ginger's, like that trust, building that trust, that relationship, and for them to appreciate your style.
Anyone want to echo?
But we absolutely have lots of team building events. Some I like and some I don't. Ones that I was forced to attend, I don't like. And I had to go to a lot of those. I feel it's a waste of my time, seriously. But there are times I do learn a lot. And my team building, we always try to do something fun together. We play a lot of games to tease each other and reveal each other's secrets. And I actually did a hip hop dance outing with them.
Oh,
and it was hilarious. So it's just fun. But so I'm the type who don't like to get a lot of serious team building events and stuff. We just want to have fun. Well, that's me. Learning is we have learning, but that's different. That's not team building. That's more like we schedule a training session and we all go and stuff.
So I'm more privileged because I always deal with younger people. My students is becoming younger and younger every year. I mean, this year we are like recruiting students who are born after, year 2000. And I was like, graduate students born after year 2000. And I think I'm privileged because they teach me so many things that I have no idea, like they said, oh, you know what, you're still using WhatsApp. What is that? We use Discord, we don't. Yeah. So I'm really privileged because one of the things I ask them to do is like, can you guys teach me all this, oh, my phone is on D&D. I was like, what is D&D? Is that a new device? Like, do not disturb, like, because professor called them, they didn't answer them. Yeah, so I feel like, as a professor, we are really privileged because we get a lot of updated information from the students who are in the younger generation. I do want to emphasize that, a lot of the students, I think now we have a problem because all the top talented students, who wants to do advanced degrees, they are living in pretty poor conditions because, I guess, this is the way how a lot of the research careers were set up. So yeah, as a professor, we have to feed them a lot of food, like make sure they have good conditions. And yeah, so I think that majority of my team building is just to feed them free food. They'll be very happy just having free food. I don't even need to arrange any special activities because they usually teach me stuff, but for example, tomorrow, Saturday, we'll have group brunch, because the students always show up when there's free food.
Yeah,
sorry, Alice. I was just thinking, right, with Ginger and Dr. Mon, like, do you actually see, as a female, going back to the topic of being a female leader, right? Do you actually think the team building is a good way to kind of establish kind of your leadership? Have you ever seen that as a tool or as some sort of as a mean to achieve that?
Well, if I were the one who is designing the activities with my team, yes, I can achieve what I want to achieve. But if I'm told to go somewhere to have some leadership summit, and then the other people higher up is doing all the planning, I don't get to do what I want to do. And sometimes I felt some of the activities are pretty boring or pretty waste of my time. But I'll give an example. When we did all hands and all that, my boss asking me to help, we play a lot of games that help all the different teams because we have hundreds of people under my boss, right? Myself alone, I have 120 people. So it's a big team. So, and then a lot of teams are working in silos. So we come up with all kinds of games to play to know each other, what each team is doing, what metrics they use to measure success, for example, and what project they're working on that's highest priority. So we build that into question to help understand each other. So we are very thoughtful about those questions. And once you design it in a way, if you have a purpose and you design it right, it's actually very effective. And I was actually teased. They put me in as one of the questions and said, let's guess how old is Ginger? And A, 12, B, 21, C, 30, D, some of all of the above. So it's fun. So some kind of things that we tease each other. So it's about how you design it, have a purpose in mind. It can be very effective, female or not. I think the thing is you have to have a clear goal you want to achieve when you do the team building, or just have fun.
Thank you for sharing that. Yeah.
Yeah, I totally agree. Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah. So it's I just remember that like when working in Taiwan, it's kind of what Ginger said, like the higher up of people that they decided it's very I think it's like super formal, and then you follow instructions and stuff, and you just thought about what's the purpose? Are we learning from each other, or is this the superior, like higher level want to learn more about you, so you're kind of performing to them, not to your peer? Like you just have to think about what's behind this. And when I work with the US company, then it's more we all like kind of Ginger said that like we have different questions and stuff. We learn from each other through games, and we learn from each other's like working styles. So for next like communication, you know how to communicate with this person because different communication style, and why the priority, like you thought the priority is higher, but for them its priority is lower, is because they have different goals and metrics and such. Yeah, thank you guys for sharing, and then to open up these questions. Yeah, next one I wanted to dive into is have there been any like mentors or role models that you have you have like significantly shaped your trajectory during your career, or an inspired person that motivate you, that wanted to become like this person or learn from this person?
Maybe I can get started. So my first mentor in my life is definitely my mother. She taught me woman has to be independent, financially and spiritually. No matter who you're going to marry in the future, you have to maintain financial and spiritual independence. I think, one of the best advices I have gotten. Of course, later when I pursue PhDs, I think my mom could no longer give me the kind of advice, but I think that was the first lesson in life that, So I think that's one. And of course, I mentioned about the Nobel laureate who I worked with together for 10 years before he got the Nobel Prize. Yeah, I would say he's someone who is extremely down to earth and, you know, really, you know, in the high-tech field, as you know, we have this famous fake it until you make it spirit. And he was, you know, since 10 years ago, always tell me, if you overpromise the society some things, it always come back and bite you. And I think that he really taught me important things, how as a STEM tech person that we want to under-promise and over-deliver to the society. Yeah, so I think that is important to, you know, have not just a woman, but also men as a mentor, because they do give good advices. And the last person I just want to say, I'm a really, really big fan of the late, you know, Ruth Bader Ginsburg. Yeah, I just think I wish that, you know, like individuals like her really changed the people's life. And then, you know, I just think that we should always read the biography. And then recently I read is Codebreaker, you know, Jeten Dodna, like always around us find those inspiring stories. I think they all have many similarities between what Ginger and Nana told us. Yeah, read their stories and try to like find inspirations here and there. I've only met her once, but I felt like, you know, we share a lot of similar situations because she's also someone in the very cutthroat technology, and she's doing startups, and she's fighting for the IPs and all these things. So I hope that, yeah, kind of that shares the mentorship along. Of course, I would say probably the last person is my kid. He always tell me that, you know, whatever you do, mama, we're going to support you. And I just think those kind of, you know, he just reminds me that there's always people who are behind us that support us no matter what we do. So like meeting some obstacles and whatever things is put in perspective. It's no big deal. Like as long as you have, yeah, I think Ginger and Nana said very well, like the foundation is that the people who love you, who really care about what you do. Yeah, so I think the children really showed me what's unconditional love. So yeah.
So for me, I want to say, I think my husband made me a better person. That's what I want to say. And I just want to give one example. When I first got, you know, remember I said I got into computer science. I didn't know what I was getting myself into. It was so difficult. I had no background. I'm competing with the best of the best in the world on campus about something I don't know about. And I was dying. And I think there was this final project that was due on Tuesday or something, and I was working in a computer center, you know, I'm that old. And we had to fight to get access to the computer, and it was 4 o'clock in the morning. I was crying, and I was hoping my husband would lend a helping hand because he's technically better than me. And he said, no, it's your homework. You got to do it on your own. And I said, well, if I don't turn it in today, every day is 20% off. And then he said, 80% is better than 0. That's what he said. And then he said, you are confused, go take sleep. And then when you sleep well, get up and restart. Then the next day, I woke up around 11, and then I fought all the way through. I think, and I restructured the whole thing. And then around 8 p.m., he looked at me and said, I think you're ready. And I went in the computer room, I type it in, and everything works beautifully. I got my 80%. But, you know, you guys have to know he was after me, okay? But he's not doing anything for me. And he just said, there's honor code and we need to observe, even though I was so desperate and I was very tempted for help because of my grade, right? And that's just one example, and there are many, many in life. So that's why I say it's very important when you find a partner, you find someone that help you grow and make you a better person. And I think he's my biggest mentor. And that's it.
Yeah, you're very lucky. I don't know if I have a real role model per se, but yeah, I'm kind of like you, Ginger. Actually, I call my husband my cheerleader. He's my best cheerleader. So you know, as you saw in the 2.5 years ago when I pivoted from I was doing sales for 18 years, right? And I guess I was quite good at it too, right? So, and I want to do something different, and you know, so, and he would say, why not, right? So every time I have self-doubt, and that's quite more often than probably most people imagine, you know, he would give me that courage, right? Say, why not, right? So that's more than enough, you know, for me to keep going. Yeah.
I feel like this session we are turning just husband day appreciation.
Husband day.
I hope that
I know, I was thinking I should have invited him, right?
Yeah, I hope they are listening, that we all appreciate their support and such.
Yeah.
Like me today, my husband really wanted to go out because the weather is so nice. I was like, I have to do this event. And he was like supporting. He was like, okay, I'll leave you alone. I'm gonna go to the other room, do my own thing because he's a day off today. And I was like, yeah, just, you know, leave me alone. And then he was like, oh, I need a hot tea or something because I'm a little bit sick and such. I was like, yeah, sure, just, you know, bring it in.
Very nice.
So yeah, we're kind of head to the time. Really appreciate Dr. Mon, Ginger, Nana here today, sharing all the inspiring you know, quotes with us, you know, building and supporting. If you join late, we talk about husband is because we have a supporter family behind, and then we appreciate them to support us, and then that help us to, you know, bring back the good energy, like Nana said, like the energy shifting back in the energy at work, happy work, happy home. And yeah, and like Ginger said about, you know, like how you build like the trustworthy team and leadership style. And yeah, so that's all for today for the panel 1. And let me introduce you to our panel 2 moderator, Peggy. Peggy is here. Peggy, please take over. And thanks to all the speakers for panel 1. Thank you.
Thank you, Alice. Thank you, Nana, Ginger, Shirley. It was definitely a very warm, heartfelt panel. And hi, everyone. Welcome to the second panel of Women Summit. I'm the moderator of this panel. My name is Peggy Pan. I'm the board member of NATEA, and currently I'm a senior product marketing manager at a tech startup. In this panel, we're going to talk about how you invest in your own career growth and pursue your career goals. We're going to pack some fun topics to discuss, so don't you dare to leave. Stay with us. This is going to be a fun panel. I know talk about career on Friday night or Saturday morning sounds depressing, but get your glass of wine ready because this session is going to be worth it, because we're joined by 4 awesome speakers who will share their stories and perspectives. I want to invite Nancy, Elaine, Mo, and Christy to prepare to, I can see your faces, great. You can also come off mute because we're going to have some fun together. Awesome. So I'm going to give a quick introduction of the 4 speakers we have tonight. For the fans of TV show Suits out there, meet our real life version of legal powerhouse, Monique Hawthorne. I'll just call her Mo because that's what she goes by. And even cooler than Suits, besides her multinational law firm experience, Mo has worked in global corporate like Adidas, Nike, as well as the public sector. And now Mo is the lead counsel at Airbnb. At the same time, Mo is an adjunct professor at law schools, helping the next generation. And also Mo is a mom of 3 kids? Two kids.
Two boys.
Awesome. Welcome, Mo.
Thank you so much for having me, Peggy.
Yeah, and we also have Christiana Chen. We'll call her Christy. Christy is the VP of Product of Pluralsight. Prior to that, Christy has held product leadership roles at tech companies such as Schoolpost and Intuit. And in 2016, Christy was a founder and CEO herself She founded a company called Path-Over, a venture-backed AI startup for grocery logistics. And Christy graduated from UC Berkeley, got her CS Master in University of Washington. Christy, besides her full-time job as a VP of product, she's also doing an executive MBA program at MIT Sloan. Christy, are you joining us from Boston or Bay Area today?
Thank you for having me. I'm joining from Boston.
Oh, wow.
I'm here with at MIT this week actually, but really glad to be here with everybody else.
Welcome, welcome. And next, we have Eileen Pei. Eileen is a product marketing career coach, a founder of Courageous Careers. What a great name. She helps achieving she helps high-achieving mid-career individuals land and grow in their dream careers in product marketing. Prior to her own coaching business, Eileen was director of product marketing at high-growing startups such as Teachable and Bright Flag. Eileen got her master's degrees actually in civil engineering, and later she transitioned to business for her work. Got her MBA in UC Berkeley. Eileen's joining us from New York City, so also same as Christy. Pretty late for you. I hope you got your wine ready. Say hi to us, Eileen.
Thank you so much for the introduction. Hi, everyone. Really excited to be here.
Awesome. Last but not least, we have Nancy Chu, product leadership and solopreneurship coach. Nancy has over 15 years experience in tech. She's now dedicated to helping people land on level 6+ PM jobs in big tech by coaching and building a community. And prior to becoming a career coach, Nancy had product and engineer experience in Oracle, Facebook, and Roku. Nancy got her master's degree in electrical and computer engineering in Carnegie Mellon University. And Nancy just had her birthday last week. Happy birthday, Nancy, and welcome.
Thank you so much, Peggy.
Awesthem. This is our incredible lineup of speakers today. I'm so excited. And you can tell they share each of them has amazing career trajectory. They also share many things in common: engineering background, business, MBA. They have worked in both corporate and fast-growing organizations. They are moms, they're coaches, and most importantly, they are women in tech, care about women empowerment. So now I want to pass the stage to our speakers. We've known you based on your LinkedIn profile and career achievements. Now, could each of you spend 3-4 minutes and share a story about you which has provided the most valuable lesson for your career? Give us the behind-the-scenes story not available on LinkedIn, and we will start with Nancy.
I didn't know I was going to be the first one, but hi, everyone. My name is Nancy. One thing you probably don't know about me by looking at my LinkedIn is I used to be a competitive piano player. The highlight of my piano career was when I soloed with the Honolulu Symphony. And I started my piano career when I was in first grade, and the highlight was senior year in high school. And this set the stage for me in understanding just how important it is to invest in something if you really want it. If it wasn't for the investment in myself, supported by my parents and my family, I would not have achieved the highlight, which for me at that time was to solo with the symphony. And that came with years of not only practicing the tactical skills needed to learn how to play an instrument, but also how to perform and how to compete and how to actually audition. And without the coaching, I would not have been able to achieve the highlight, which was what I wanted for me. So that set the stage for then my career. If I wanted something really badly, I knew that one, I could try to do it on my own, or I can invest in a program or in coaching or in something to help me get there faster than just trying to figure it out on my own.
Thank you, Nancy, for sharing your story and help us kick off our theme tonight. Like investment in ourselves is so important. Now let's welcome Yiling to share a little bit of her behind the scenes story.
Hi, everyone. Super excited to be here once again. And I was smiling when Nancy shared her story because mine is along the same vein. I mean, it's a different story, but I was smiling because it was also about a career decision that was very different and drastic from what I usually do. So as you heard in the intro, my background was in civil engineering. And, you know, someone from a traditional agent background, I was told I could either be a lawyer, a doctor, or an engineer. So I chose to be an engineer, which is what I decided to do. But honestly, after doing that, I wasn't, you know, it wasn't my calling doing civil engineering. And when I was in the MBA program at UC Berkeley, I fell in love with marketing, which is how I decided to pivot into marketing and then raise up to be a product marketing leader. But somewhere along the way, I actually felt pretty burned out by tech, having been at some very high growth startups. I just decided to quit my job cold turkey and became a watercolor artist. So because even when I was 3 years old, I've always enjoyed painting and I loved painting, and I was told I could never be an artist. And I decided, you know what, I can be, and I want to do that. So I quit my job, and I was in San Francisco at the time, and I just started painting, learned everything just from watching YouTube videos, and went around galleries applying, you know, to try to get in. And, you know, I actually within 6 months managed to get into some galleries, and even one of my galleries still represents my work in San Francisco. But more important than that, than just getting into galleries or anything, it also taught me so much about humility and vulnerability, because I realized selling art is the hardest thing I've ever sold in my entire life. Much, much harder than selling a tech product or anything like that, because you have to be very vulnerable. You have to tell people your authentic personal story. That's how they connect with you, right? To invest your art, to put it on their wall. And that actually invigorated me to go back into my career in product marketing, which then helped me actually get a role as a director at a level that's even higher than what I had before. So, you know, as I think part of this thing is also in, you know, taking a chance on your own career, do what you want to do, and don't define your own success by what other people think what it should be. Just define it however you think it should be. So that's my story.
Thank you, Yiling. And I believe we'll dive into that, define your own success, very soon following with our panel discussion today. Mo, are you ready?
I'm ready. It's actually really great that I follow Yiling, because what she said is don't let other people define your success. And I think for me, when you look at my LinkedIn profile, what you might not know is that every career change that I had was going against what my parents thought was going to be the best path for me. Actually, even when I was applying for law school, and I realized some of you might be wondering, like, wow, there's all these amazing people that we're hearing from. They're all engineers, or they have, you know, some engineering background, and here we are talking to someone who has a law degree. And I'll admit that maybe if I was better at math, maybe I could be an engineer, but I'm not. And so I think I'm here to represent that if you think that even if you are an engineer, you want to pivot, you want to go into law, feel free to reach out to me. But I digress. So going back to this, every single path that I took, even down to where I decided to go to law school, was against what my parents thought was the best choice for me. You know, I got into a couple of good schools in the Los Angeles area. They said, stay in LA, we're very close, it'd be so great to see you. You know, I moved up into Portland, Oregon, which if you ask any Taiwanese family in Taiwan, no one knows where Oregon is, right? And then when I got my first job, I was at a multinational law firm with a good reputation. I decided to leave. They said, why would you do that? You're so close to making partner. I went, you know, I was a deputy general counsel, which is kind of the #2 position at a government agency. My parents like, that's great, you should stay. I left after 2 years. They said, why? That's so stupid. I went to Adidas and they said, oh, finally, you know, like they can tell everybody in Taiwan that my daughter works for Adidas and my dad still wears the shoes that I got for him for free. Right now they have no soles left on the bottom, but they're like, when I decided to leave Adidas, they said, why would you leave Adidas? And then I said, I'm going to a company called Airbnb, and they had no idea what this company was, right? You know, it was pre-IPO, no clue what they were doing. They said, are you renting your house out? They thought when I went to work for Airbnb, it meant that I was going to put my house on the platform. I think it's hard for us, right? One, as women, two, as Taiwanese, and three, as just children to very, very opinionated families, and coming from a culture that's super family oriented, right? We don't pick based on the individual, we pick what the family thinks. But if I had chosen that, I wouldn't be where I am today. And I'm so glad that I didn't let, you know, the major familial influence stop me from making better career choices for myself.
Yeah, thank you so much, Mo. We will definitely revisit this idea of don't let the environment or others' opinions influence you. So we'll come back to that real soon. Christy, the floor is
Thank you
yours.
again for having me. And I feel like there's like a particular sequencing in terms of how we share the story, because right after I heard Mo's story, I think back about my own experience, and I can say that the theme of investing yourself really resonates with me, because there's always this preconceived notion of who you should be and how others define you. I grew up in a Taiwanese family, and just like what a lot of speakers have shared, you either be a doctor or a lawyer. And so what I was really passionate about is reading and playing video game. And so if I were to provide the word of advice, it would be pursue your passion and find the resources. I like video games so much that I once competed in National Halo video game during college, and I was ranked top 50 in the nation. During my spare time in studying, compete at nighttime. People thought I was an 8-year-old from Ohio, an 8-year-old boy, but you know, it's me. I really loved that, and that led me to want to study computer science and just learning how coding works. Really enjoying that. And I started my career at Boeing as an engineer. Very similar story to Mo, your story about working at Airbnb. When I told my family in Taiwan I'm going to work for Boeing, they asked me, am I going to become a flight attendant? And I was surprised, because Boeing is not an airline, but that's how they remember it. And so it was a very demeaning way of looking at engineering, because that is just not a profession for women. We're not allowed to be an engineer. And so I never regretted the path I chose. I had an incredible time at Boeing as an engineer. I also want to pursue my passion of reading and writing. So there's one story that most people didn't know about me, is that I applied and I went to law school. I went there during first year, realized it's just not what I want to do for the rest of my life. Sorry, Mo, but I found engineering more useful. So I dropped out of law school during year one, went back to engineering work back at Boeing. And there's like the entrepreneurship bug that's just calling me. And so I decided to quit my job at that time. Again, there was a family intervention session with me. A lot of people in my family thought I have gone insane. So intervention session was held, family meeting was held. I had multiple family members calling me and telling me and convinced me that I had made the wrong decision. Looking back, that was over, I would say 15 years ago. I never regretted every single moment of that. Without that experience, I would not have grown my company to over tens of millions of dollars. I would not have sold the company for over 9 digits millions. And certainly I wouldn't be where I am today, which is leading top billion-dollar company in their product development and product management area. So I would say that really pursue your passion, as wacky as it is, which is video game, or you just want to try something new like law school and decide that's not for you and you pivoted. It's okay, because if you pursue your passion, you will find the resources to support your dream.
Love it. Well, thank you so much for the amazing stories. You just proved why attending an event like this is amazing, because we got to hear all the authentic personal stories, now we know we have two artists in the room, two rebellious kids. And thank you so much for sharing your valuable lessons that you learned by really going through your own journey. And now let's really follow this thread and let's start to talk about some practical insights and perspectives that our audience can take away based on the inspiration you just laid out for us. So for the first topic I want to discuss tonight is you all shared your amazing story going through your career. There's ups and downs. There's difficult choices to make. There's necessary fights to fight. So the first topic I want to discuss tonight is how women should approach our career planning, right? Before we dive into our conversation, I would like to set the stage by inviting each of you to share your thoughts on a foundational question. What's your current personal definition of what career success means to you? Let's do a quick round robin to hear how you measure career success. We'll start with Yiling, and then we'll take turns.
Sure thing. So I've struggled with this question a lot, and obviously that's a big one in my life because I've been living according to other people's definition. But my definition and what I've realized right now is what's aligned with my purpose and my values. And that's how I define my own success. And specifically for me, it's three things at the stage of my life that I'm in currently, which is number one, impact. What is the impact I can make in other people's lives? And I realized that just by thinking, I mean, this is a bit morbid, but thinking about on my deathbed, when I look back, what do I really care about? What did I have to say? Oh, wow, I did that. And to me, it's about how I've affected other people. Second thing is freedom, is the freedom to have control on how I can spend my time. And that was one of the biggest reasons I decided to go into coaching, because I can work according to my own hours. I can decide to take my entire day off if I want to. And lastly, related to that is friends and family. So that when I have that freedom, I can decide to choose exactly how I spend my time with the people I love the most and be a really good mom and have a vibrant social life that I want, so that I can have both my career and my family. Those are the three most important things. And I can't say I'm 100% there, but I'm definitely getting closer to where the ideal state of where I want to be.
Thank you, Yiling. Mo, how about you? How do you currently define your career success?
I'm gonna go, everything that Yiling said is 100%. I would totally align with that. I think the one thing that I feel that particularly women shy away from is to talk about money. And I tell people that we are not working just for fun, right? Like, we are working to make a living, and we have to consider that career success includes cash. Like, what are you bringing home to the table? And it's not the only thing, right? I would definitely double down on everything that Yiling said. And I'm sure if she was to add number 4 or 5 to her list, she would say compensation also. But I think really, like, you know, we should include in our definition of success, am I being compensated at the level that I know that I should be being compensated for?
Love it. Christy, you want to go next?
Yeah, of course. I think one of the main challenge that most women might face in terms of their career planning is that there's often time that we're waiting for permission, whether that's permission to speak, permission to act, permission to decide. And essentially we may always be looking for permission to take control of our own life. And I would say that, what really matters to me and the way that I plan my career is I really care about making a difference to the community and the world with the skills that I'm able to learn from school. So in this case, it's technology. And so while I can build any technology product in the whole world, I have the power to choose which industry, which company I work for. And that's very empowering. I don't need to get approval from my family, from my husband, from my peer to say, I chose to go into Intuit. I chose to go into entrepreneurship. I chose to go into late stage startup. It's my own decision. And I think that's very powerful. And I want all of us to remember that we don't need permission to make that kind of decision for ourselves. And another thing is, in addition to what matters to me, which is making a difference with the skill sets I have, is we really need to do something that matters to ourselves. So for me, I need to get a sense of fulfillment from work. I want to find time to contribute back to the community, and I want to spend time with my family and husband. And so if I have 100% of my capacity, if I spend more of work this week, I need to balance this with a trade-off from other areas. And I do this mental equation every single week, every single month. And I'm very mindful of that. And that to me is the best way to drive work-life balance. So we're not necessarily giving up what we love to do, but at the same time, we can find a balance in that. And I think that is going to help us form the right narrative when we decide to choose what we want to work on.
Thank you, Christy. Nancy, tell us your definition of career success.
Yeah, I don't define career success any differently from life success. To me, it's one and the same thing. For me, success in life really comes from whether I could actually honor myself or not, and really honoring my authenticity. And that comes from a lot of self-awareness. And I actually realized I didn't really know myself that well before, until I became really intentional about understanding just who I am as a person. And it wasn't until I took a personality test to then realize who I actually am. I had no idea. And that is how unself-aware I was. But I took this test. It's called the Human Design. Highly recommend everyone to take it. There's a lot of free tests online. The Human Design is a combination of astrology and chakra system and I Ching and just everything all in one. And in that system, it made so much more sense after I took the test, because at that time, I had already decided that I wanted to become a full-time coach, but I couldn't really explain it. It just felt very good in my body, but I didn't have the words to describe why it felt so good. Then I took the test and realized I fall under the category of a generator persona type. Generator is someone who generates energy for other people. And there's I think 4 or 5 different types of people. One type is the manifester. They're here to create. And it made so much sense that I'm not a manifester. I'm not a creator. And that's why I just don't feel very good about continuing in creating products. I was in product management for about 15 years. It was all about creating products for others. But then I dabbled into coaching just serendipitously. It was not planned. And I felt so much joy in doing that. I felt so good in the body. It just felt so natural, so organic. And then I took the test and realized I'm a generator. Of course, that makes so much sense now. I'm here to generate energy in others. I'm here to uplift other people. And that feels very true to me. That is me just being very authentic. But pursuing a path that is very authentic to you actually requires a lot of courage. We were not taught to honor ourselves. We are taught to honor the family. Like, we're taught to honor what society thinks that we should do. No one taught us to be authentic. And being authentic actually takes so much courage to filter out all the noise around us and to really go within and really understanding what is it that makes you happy? What is it that makes you just go? What is it that makes you energized? So for me, career success is not different than life success. And life success to me is really just really knowing who I am and honoring myself.
Thank you so much. I believe I personally got chills from your sharing of what career success means to you. I believe a lot of people in the audience right now are also thinking about their own career success. We heard impact on lives, freedom, family balance, power of choice, make a living, which is super important. And we also heard authenticity, career success is no different than life success. Really appreciate your sharing. And I want to shift a little bit to how, right? So I believe all of us in the audience today, we are all working hard to achieve our own definition of career success. And along the way, we will face some barriers and challenges. All of you have touched on those challenges in your sharing. If I could summarize some common things in career development and growth when it comes to barriers and challenges. Nancy, you mentioned about this self-awareness, right? Like it's about understanding our own aspirations and asking ourselves, what's it that I truly want to pursue? Like Christy, you talk about you knew law is not for you versus we have someone like Mo knowing law is her passion. So it's like, what do I want to do? And then there's this piece of self-confidence, like, how do I believe in my choices and abilities? How do I show up as a person I want to be? And then lastly, you all kind of touched on this, like the environment, the influence from others, our parents, partner, managers, or the society. Can you share some strategies that helped you cultivate self-awareness, like foster your confidence and navigate external pressure throughout your career journey? You all shared like you've been through there. And now can you tell us a little bit about how you've overcome some of the challenges and to be where you are today? Let's have a free-flowing discussion. No matter who would like to start, we would love to hear your strategies.
I can go ahead and start to kick us off. I think two strategy I always ask myself to build that self-awareness is, what am I good at? And what am I willing to change to do or to do? And, in some specific example, I recognize I'm much better at science side. So I was interested in reading, but I'm not sure I could go through 150 pages a night. That's a very different way from casual reading. So quickly I realized that law was just not for me. And so recognizing what I'm good at and be comfortable with that. And the second thing is more around, what am I willing to change to get to what I want? And one important thing is I'm an introvert. And I could describe myself as such, but because of what I do and the position I'm at, it requires me to talk to a lot of people. And I found myself being an extrovert because I'm generally energized by the software technology or the market that we're changing. And so when I recognize I need this skill in order to do well in my job and to become better, I tell myself I need to be an extrovert in this certain situations. And so for me, that's a very intentional self-awareness. And I'm willing to do that every single day, as long as it aligns with, the value we talked about earlier. And so again, the two strategy I do to cultivate my own self-awareness is asking myself, what are you good at? And what am I willing to change? And I ask these questions to myself probably once every year or so, because people change and those answers may change year by year.
Thank you, Christy. To cultivate your self-awareness, ask what are you good at? What are you willing to change? I think Nancy also gave us a good tool, which is take some tests, right? You might discover something new about yourself. The self-confidence, which is super important. And I wanna see if anyone wants to talk about some tangible strategies you have used to really boost your self-confidence in your career.
I'll take a stab at it. So confidence to me is not something that we're born with. It's cultivated. And confidence really just comes from doing something over and over and over and over again. So if you just think about the very first time you try to ride a bike without training wheels, if you don't know how, it's kind of hard to be confident in it. You could believe in yourself, but believing in yourself is not the same as confidence. Confidence is knowing that you'll get it done, that you'll do a good job. But you won't know until you try. And the more you try, the higher the chance that you'll get better at it. And so confidence to me really just comes from trying. But the caveat here is that you need a support system. So using the same bike analogy, the first time you ride a bike without training wheels, it would be really, really hard if there's no one supporting you, if there's no older sibling right there next to you, if there's no parents or relative right there next to you, making sure that you know when you fall, you're okay, you're still supported, you're not alone. And so to cultivate confidence, you also need a support system. And it's on you to seek your own support system. You can't rely on people to just naturally support you whenever you need. Sure, that it would be really nice if you never had to seek support. But if you don't have support, or you don't have the level of support, or you don't have the right support, then it's on you to seek the type of support that you need. Also, people probably don't know what kind of support you need. So it's on you to seek the support, to then support you to get on that bike and catch you when you fall. And sometimes all you need is a friend to tell you, I believe in you. Like, I believe you could do it. That's probably all you need just to get started. And then when you fall, again, that support that tells you, you could do it again. I'm right here next to you.
Yeah.
And that's all there is to it.
Yeah, I love it. So to cultivate confidence, constant trying, because you never know if you don't try. And then, but make sure when you fall, there's someone to catch you, to hold you and be your support system. Eileen and Mo, I'm going to invite you to talk about the influence from others. And also, I don't think when we talk about influence from others, it's always negative, right? It can be positive as well. But when you make your own career choices, when you plan your career, what has been the useful strategies you use to navigate the voice around you?
So I actually just have something to add to what Nancy was saying, if I could add back to that.
Of course.
What I found can be very challenging for people when they try to make decisions and try something is whatever they may decide to try may be too large or too huge. So, and I find that it's a very common challenge. So for instance, let's say your goal is to go from making $100K to $1 million, right? That's a very large goal and it's insurmountable and it makes people very afraid to take that goal. What I found to be extremely helpful is to take very small steps, is to take the smallest step and try to achieve that first if you can. And when you can achieve the smallest step, that gives you confidence to take the next small step. And when you keep taking very small steps, ultimately you're going to have a lot of progress and achieve your goal. And so I really think it's about breaking down a problem into bite-sized chunks, right? And get support along the way, even with the small pieces to help you get there. And I've personally experienced this too, because I'm also very introverted. I hate public speaking, honestly, or I thought I hate public speaking. I do like to speak, but because of my introvertedness, I have a challenge to do so. But if you tell me to go suddenly from not speaking to be on a stage in front of 1,000 people, that's really scary. So what I've done is speak, in small groups, one-on-one meetings. First, get confidence in that, then speak in front of 100 people, then 1,000 people, right?
Yeah.
So I think that's something really I learned from design thinking. And I really love design thinking because it's really about breaking down problems. And I really recommend people to look into that if they haven't.
Thank you. Mo, anything you want to add to the strategies?
So you had asked me, how do I navigate the voices around me.
Right.
I think for me, I think we have a lot of feedback, and ultimately hearing voices is just additional data, right? There can be good data and there can be bad data, and there can be data that doesn't matter. And it's trying to figure out, you know, your most trusted confidants, your most trusted advisors, and realize that, you know, even in those circumstances, people are going to give you feedback and data that aren't particularly helpful, because at the end of the day, you're the one who's going to be making that decision, right? You're the one who's going to be showing up for work day in and day out, right? Like, if I was still at Adidas, I would probably be miserable because I was miserable. But if I stayed there because my parents were able to tell people, oh, my daughter is an attorney for Adidas, right? They would be happy. They would keep telling me to do that, but I was the one that was really, really miserable. I think, you know, it sounds a little bit not concrete, but I think really trusting your gut. And I think your gut, what I mean by that is it's you talking to yourself, right? Like, if you think about, you know, your soft animal body, like, where does your strength come from? It comes from your breath, and it comes from your, like, your belly, right? Like, all that stuff in there. And really just listening to your gut means giving yourself the space to hear you, as opposed to all of the multiple voices that might be in your head and around you. Yeah, I think that's the way I have navigated that way. And it's not perfect, right? Sometimes you'll listen to your gut, or your gut's very quiet, you have no idea what to do, you flip a coin and go from there. But it's not a science. It's definitely an art in how to navigate that. But ultimately realizing that it's you that has to show up every day.
Yeah. Love it. Thank you so much for sharing the practical steps you've taken, and also the mindset you have to approach your career. I want to shift to our next discussion topic, which is women in the workplace, and we will spend about 5 minutes on this topic. And I'm gonna have the spotlight on Christy and Mo. Both of you have worked in industries and companies that are male-dominated. In such an environment, what unique challenges do you believe women encounter, and how do you overcome those challenges? Let's have a 5-minute conversation on the workplace challenges women encounter.
Why don't you go ahead and go, Christiana?
Okay, I'll kick us off again. I think, so in my past experience, I've worked in the aerospace industry, in logistic industry, even in the finance industry. I would say those industries have traditionally been more male dominated, at least in engineering and in product departments. One of the things I would say is that not going to lie. A lot of times it is difficult to build that relationship with your colleagues, because relationships are not just built based on transaction information or meetings. Sometimes you talk about life, and a lot of times I just don't find myself interested or have anything to contribute to their coffee side chat around sports, complaints about their wives, right? But I would say that, at the end of the day, you're there hired to do a job, and you want to do well. You want to have good working relationship with your male counterparts. And I don't see that I have to react any differently when working with them. But I would say that one of the strengths we women have is compassion and empathy. In product engineering, we lead with user-centric, customer-first thinking. And I think that naturally we tend to collaborate more with our stakeholders. We tend to listen more, and we can just be empathetic with not just our users, but our stakeholders, their pains. And that is an incredible, powerful skill to have, particularly in the work that I do, because then even if I cannot build relationship fast enough with our male counterpart because of the sheer interest outside of work, but I can quickly build that rapport because I can demonstrate my competency by being very knowledgeable and being able to lead with sort of the voice of the customer because I listen to what the customer have to say. I listen to different opinion and different inputs. And I think that's really powerful because a lot of things that you hear about qualities and traits that portray women as being weak, we can turn that around and use it as weapon because we get additional sets of skills that other folks might not be able to have. So not only we are very competent, we have the right skill set, but then we suddenly have this compassionate and empathetic traits that no other people is going to have. So use that to navigate in a male-dominated industry because oftentimes I've seen more successes than hellbacks.
Yeah, I love it. Turn our personality or our traits into something valuable skills in business world. Mo, if you don't mind, I have a more pointed caution. Given you talk about pay in your in the career success conversation, and one of our keynote speaker today, Dr. Shirley Mon, she also shared about the progress we've made in terms of equal pay between male and female. However, we're not there yet. Do you have any perspectives on women getting fair pay in workplace?
I think we've come a long way. So I want to acknowledge the trailblazers, trailblazing women that have had those difficult conversations. The fact that we have this term equal pay means that we've already acknowledged that there is indeed a problem. Whether or not we have a solution, right? You can't have a solution unless you realize that there's actually a problem. And I quickly Googled that, for AAPI individuals, Asian American Pacific Islander, Equal Pay Day is April 3rd, right? So if we start with, white males, we have to work an extra number of days until it hits April 3rd to make the same amount of money that they were able to earn on, January 1st, which is pretty telling. That's like almost 2 quarters, right? Like of extra work that we have to do. But when it comes to advocating for yourself, I think you just have to be comfortable with talking about money, right? Like, we as, I'm going to say this because I'm going to borrow it from Ronnie Chang, the stand-up comedian, right? Like, he's like, as Asians, like, we love money, right? Like, 恭喜发财，红包拿来, right? Like, we're not shy from that aspect of it, but for some reason, when we get into the workplace, like, we even when we talk with our coworkers, we kind of do this dance because we're told that it's rude. But I think, as an individual contributor or even as a manager, like talking to other managers and peers about trying to figure out, like, what your salary requirements are, or when a recruiter asks you, when they reach out to you and say, hey, would you like to chat? Why isn't the first question that you ask them, what's the pay range for this, right? Because why would you waste any time if it's, 10 to 15 or even, heaven forbid, 50% less than what you're making right now? So just getting comfortable with talking about money.
Yeah.
You can do it in a way that is respectful. And of course, if someone declines to share with you, then don't press on it. But using your resources and just being okay with saying, like, I know what my worth is. I need to know what other people are making in order for me to benchmark myself. Are there any industry surveys out there that I can look at? Is this a company that has transparency in pay and posting? Is it based in California? Like, there's all these things that can help you figure out how to talk about it. But the very first step is not being afraid to talk about money.
Yeah. I want to remind myself and also everyone that I know my worth. Write it down. Say it out loud in every tough conversation that we face in workplace. Thank you so much, Mo and Christy, for your sharing. I want to switch to our next topic before we wrap up our panel today. We're going to spend also like around 4 or 5 minutes on this. And going back to our panel theme, invest in me, right? I'm going to invite Nancy and Eileen. both of you have founded your own coaching business to support people to invest in themselves, to pursue their dream careers. What investments have you both made in your careers? And when you coach people for their career, what are some overlooked or undervalued areas you think more women should start thinking and investing themselves? Yeah, so again, give us some practical ideas to act upon.
I guess I'll start. I'll start with right now. The investment I'm making in myself right now is it's at the highlight. I have never ever invested in myself more than this very moment. And that's because my mentality is I'm going into an area that is new for me. I have never been a business owner. I've always been an employee. And a business owner mindset is so different from an employee mindset. And as product managers and also leaders in product management, we like to think that we're leaders, but it's so different in the real world when you actually own your business with nothing to ladder up to. And so my mentality is I treat it like I'm going into battle because it's unknown for me. And in order to actually win the war and not just one battle, I need a lot of support and I need a lot of ammunition. And so right now I have a mindset coach, I have a speaking coach, I have a marketing coach, and I have a business coach. That's 4 coaches that I hired to be in my support system. And I have a therapist and I have a couples therapist like on the side. That is the level of support that I am giving myself right now because I'm going into not just one battle, but a lot of battles ahead of me because I want to win the war, just so that I could hold on to my own authenticity.
Look at you, living example of invested in myself. Elaine, anything to add to the investments that you encourage women to consider?
Yeah, I mean, those are really great examples. So I definitely have invested in myself, and I am investing in myself in several of those areas. Funnily, I was at a conference this morning. I was giving a keynote speech, and because of my introvertedness, I was like, well, I should hire a speaking coach, which is exactly what I did, and I did much better than I did ever before. Some of the other things I think is really important for me is just investing in relationships with peers and others who could be thought partners as I go along in my business journey, because I watched my mom. She's an entrepreneur herself. She had 8 businesses and I was raised by a single mom. So she had to support me, right? It was survival when she had those businesses. And so I understood a little bit about like what it takes to grow a business. And what really helped her, I think, is just not necessarily, it's really feeling like she's part of a community and having support and also, being generous, honestly. And she wasn't really too worried about what other people were doing in a lot of ways. And that really helped me. So I have other coaches who are my friends. We would actually have jam sessions with each other where we share ideas with each other. And that feels really amazing. I would have friends, right, who would bounce ideas off of and would mutually support each other. I also do a lot of barter services with other people. So for instance, I have a copywriter. She's a great content strategist and copywriter. She does my newsletter editing for free. And I do coaching for her to help her grow her newsletter business, right? So it's really fun and just exciting when those things happen. And I will say the other part is just for people to also think about their own personal branding as a woman, especially like in our world, in digital world. And I didn't think too much about it, and I didn't hire any person who was a personal branding coach. It just sort of organically happened that I grew my LinkedIn. So I guess I'm at a point where people look up to me in my field for guidance. And also people reach out to me for personal branding. It's like, how do I build a following on LinkedIn? Or how do I build my personal brand? I mean, it isn't really about growing the numbers of followers per se. It's really about understanding, right? Like, what is, again, going back to the whole value system, your strengths and your superpowers, right? What is the best way for you to convey that and use that to connect with other people? And the more you do that, the more you marketable actually you will be, because a lot of times, I mean, the job market is really not great right now, as you can imagine. And having that personal brand that is detached from the identity you have with your company is so important, right? Because your identity is not just your company's. So what's your personal brand that you can cultivate? I think that's my last parting words
Awesome.
here.
Yeah. Speaking of LinkedIn, both Elaine and Nancy shared so many insights on their personal LinkedIn, and yeah, be sure to follow. And I agree with, like, personal branding investment is also something sometimes overlooked. Yeah, and we're about time, and I want to close our session with something fun. It's Friday night, right? It's weekend. Let's have some fun by having rapid fire question round. So each of the speaker, I'm gonna ask you 3 questions, and I'm gonna ask you as quickly as possible. There won't be any follow-ups. So just shoot us your answer. Mo, you ready to be the first?
I'm ready.
Mo, if you have to switch careers today, what would you choose to do?
Engineer.
Ooh, do you have a role model? If so, who?
My role model? Probably my dad. Yeah.
In your opinion, I love this. In your opinion, is bamboo ceiling or glass ceiling harder to break?
Oh, that's a good question. I think it's the bamboo ceiling.
Okay, and for who don't know, glass ceilings for women, bamboo ceilings for Asian. Thank you so much, Mo. That was great. Christy, up to you.
Okay. I'm trying
What's
to
your
beat the time from Mo, but I'll try.
What's your favorite community?
Women in tech.
Oh, I'm so sad you didn't say NATEA. It's okay. Woman in tech. Name a female entrepreneur you love to have a coffee with, and the top question you ask.
Oh gosh, that's hard because I probably already sent a request. I would probably say Nancy and Elin.
Ooh,
Know both of you better.
look at you. Connections. Awesome. Christy, if you have a magic wand and can change one thing for women in the workplace today, what would it be?
Make it easier for women to get promoted.
Love it. Nancy, you ready?
Hey, what's up?
In your opinion, which company is the best for women to work at?
Your own.
Ooh,
No doubt
love
about
it.
that.
Oh my God, I love it. And what's one skill you think will be indispensable in the tech world 10 years from now?
Manifestation.
Ooh,
Not just in tech, but everywhere.
love it. Third, this is so tailored for you. Give us a hot take about being a product manager in tech. I'm glad I made you stumped.
It's not as amazing as you think it is.
Thank you, Nancy. Elaine, ready to be the last one? What's
Let's
the
go.
one book that has truly inspired you?
Oh God, so many books. Actually, it's a story. It's called Z for Zachariah. It's a very juvenile science fiction book that my first ever English book that I read, and I realized I actually could read English.
Love it. Okay, rank the fun level of being a coach, a solopreneur, and a mom.
Wait, what level?
Fun.
Fun level.
Yeah. So what's the most fun?
Well, definitely mom.
Second?
And then entrepreneur and coach.
Thank you. Last one. What do you think our Women's Summit next year should focus on?
Oh my gosh, that's really tough. I think we have the theme here of money. Like that's clear today. Let's discuss
love
money.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And will you all come back to talk about money?
I would love to, and I love to learn from everyone here.
Thank you. Well, all the people in the room give us our amazing speakers a big round of applause. They shared so many insights with us, so many authentic stories. They are being themselves, and then they're talking about their career journey, inspiration. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. I'm so glad we're recording this because this is such a wonderful session. Thank you for being with us. Thank you, Mo, Christy, Eileen, and Nancy.
Thank you.
Thank you, Peggy.
All right. Again, don't you dare to leave because we have our final panel and we're going to talk about something spicy, which is invest in change. This panel will be hosted in Mandarin, and I'm going to pass the mic to Angela.
Thank you, Peggy. So as Peggy said, the next panel will be conducted in Mandarin. For those who need your transcriptions, please have that ready. 好，大家好，我是第3场 panel 的 moderator， 我是 Angela， 然后我现在是在科技业担任 AI 工程师。然后这场 panel 我们非常荣幸的邀请到易宁还有陈爱。易宁是我们 Honu Lab 的创办人，也是新创技术的顾问，然后也是 Instagram 自由工程师的冒险人生，还有 Podcast 的创作者。那陈爱的部分的话，陈爱是前长庚医院的妇产科医师，也是双宝妈妈，也是 Instagram 送爱医师爱唠叨的创作者。那我们就请易宁跟陈爱先简单帮我们自我介绍一下，然后因为我们这个 panel 的主题是 invest in change， 就是挑战不同寻常的勇气，所以就是请2位跟我们分享一下你们的一些经历，还有尤其是在这个跑道转换方面的一些你们想分享的东西。那我们就从陈爱先开始好了。
好，那我就先自我介绍一下为什么我会选择当全职妈妈这个部分。我是在2020年的时候拿到妇产科专科医师执照，那之后在医院继续努力，在2022年跟先生共同被 offer 有出国进修的机会的时候，那时候我就想到的是，可能是主要还是想到自己的小孩。那在场的各位，想必不管是讲者或者是各位听众都十分优秀。那在这些优秀的背后，我想除了我们的基因都很幸运以外，其实我们的童年，不管是你的父亲、母亲、祖父母也好，一定是有那么样一个人，他是给你最大的支持，在你的个性养成或者是你的学习上面，给予你最大的帮助的那个人。所以我希望就是在小朋友从台湾到美国的这几年，我能成为那一个人，给他们最大的支持。那所以这就是我当年选择当全职妈妈的一个原因。
好，谢谢陈爱。那易宁可以帮我们介绍一下你还有你的一些就是转换方面的相关经验吗？
可以。大家好，我是易姐，然后你也可以叫我易宁。我以前是一个在新创公司工作的软体工程师。现在是一个在独立的新创顾问，然后我现在也在积极筹备自己的新创项目，想要帮助创业者管理焦虑，让他们的事业更顺利。
那所以2位就是这边的经验方面，就是可能除了有转换之外，也是一个跟一般像我们刚才前面几个 panel 提到，一般亚洲家长可能希望小孩就是当医师、当律师。这方面的职业，那2位做的转换可能是一个比较不同于传统价值观或是传统长辈上会觉得，大家应该要走的这样子的道路。所以就是第一个问题，想要请教2位，在你们做这个跑道转换的时候，有遇到最大阻碍是什么？还有你是怎么克服那些阻碍的？那这边我就请易宁先开始。
好，那在讲阻碍之前，我先想讲一下，就是为什么我要做这样子的改变。在我离职创业的那一年，我那时候是一个在新创公司工作的软体工程师，然后那时候公司有非常多的变动，我1年之内换了5个主管，然后那时候我在做专案，是一个我花了蛮多心思跟心血在做专案，我对他的期待也很高。 那因为公司政策的缘故，这个专案也被终止。所以我就觉得好像没有什么事情是我自己可以控制的，在这个公司的体制之下，很多事情都要以公司的利益为优先。所以我就想说，也许我可以来自己创业，可以把命运掌握在我自己的手上。那可是，为什么是创业这个选择呢？这个就要回到我25岁的时候。我25岁的时候，我的母亲过世了。那她过世的时候是她的54岁。其实在美国来说，其实这样也不是还不到 senior 的一个年纪。所以那时候这件事情对我影响蛮大的。我就发现说，人生其实很短暂，然后一定要好好把握自己在这个世界上的时间。那我就问我自己说，我喜欢做什么样的事情？我最喜欢做的事情就是从0到1开发产品。所以我就希望说，我自己能够把握我母亲给我的生命，去做一些真正有意义、有趣的事情。那我觉得，所以做这个决定本身呢，并没有太大的阻碍，就是比较像是说我一直想要做这件事，然后有个推动力，我就做了这个决定了。那做完这个决定以后呢，阻碍才随之而来，这样子。那创业之后呢，因为没有了固定的薪水，所以就开始有一些金钱的焦虑。然后我就开始接案。那随着接案的经验越来越丰富之后呢，我的薪资也开始提高，然后口碑也建立了，然后开始转型成 CTO 顾问。所以那时候其实我觉得我的薪资已经超越了我以前在软体公司在新创公司做软体工程师的这个薪资。然后也觉得生活还不错啊，就是每天固定时间上下班，也没有什么加班，也没有什么压力，然后是一个很舒服的生活。可是我不知道为什么，我那时候就觉得我非常的不开心。我每天都不想去上班，然后下班之后我就好累，我没有办法去想任何关于创业的事情。然后我就开始想说，为什么我会这么不开心？然后我就发现说，原来我每天都花我大部分的时间跟精力在满足别人的需求，在完成别人的梦想。我自己想要做的事情这么的清晰，这么的明确，但是我都没有在做我自己想做的事情，我都在做别人想要我做的事情。所以那时候发现这件事情以后，我就在我的 journal， 就是我每天会有 journal 的习惯，然后在我每天都可以看得到的地方写了一句话 respect your dream， 就是如果你有很想要做的事情，然后如果这件事情对你来说非常重要，那就去做吧。
谢谢你的分享。就我觉得要呼应到前面，就是几个 panelists 有提到说，要找到自己真正有兴趣的事情，找到自己的热情，还有就是才有那个前进的动力这样。然后提到 journal， 就是其实我有一次有遇过一个 Uber 司机非常有趣，他就是在开车突然跟我提到说，大家一定要开始写 journal， 就是我也不知道为什么他就突然提到说一定要开始写 journal， 他就非常建议说，当你把东西写下来的时候，你就是在向宇宙许愿，或是你在告诉你自己一定要把这件事情达到。所以就想就是你在提到这件事情呢，我想到就是这么一个故事，就是好像很多人都会用写 journal 这件事情来当做一个推进自己前进的一个动力这样。好，谢谢1年的分享。那陈爱，你可以跟我们分享一下，你在做这个跑道转换的时候，有遇到什么最大的阻碍，跟怎么克服那个阻碍的吗？
我自己遇到最大的阻碍其实是来自于医院各种的人情压力。那你说直接一点，就是情绪勒索这样子。一个医师的养成其实是像是还蛮传统的，就像是师徒制。你一开始进医院的时候，你要先从打杂开始，例如说写病历，然后做报告、看病人这样。那接下来你要进手术房学习消毒、铺单，然后接下来开始学习当手术的助手。等长官认可你之后，你才有机会，他把器械递给你，才有机会开你人生的第一台刀等等。那大家是在这样子的患难中培养出感情。那所以 对于生涯职涯来说，主管也会期待像他们年轻时候一样去出国进修，然后去把国外的所学带回来，继续贡献意愿。所以当我说我要当全职妈妈这种堪称是离经叛道，或者是说是女权倒退车的这个决定的时候，会感觉说会有蛮多的一个反对的声音。那所以我觉得面到这些，那时候我的感觉其实好像我在跟我的长官分手一样，就是说情商高的长官可能会跟你说，哦好，那我好聚好散一路顺风，但相对的你也会听到一些听了没有那么开心的语言。那我觉得就是要学习温柔而坚定啦，因为毕竟大家以后可能都还会在职场上再相聚，不需要撕破脸。那这些都是在离职的时候会需要消耗的情感成本。那至于工作的部分，其实工作本质倒是还好，就是把项目好好的做好，就是跟下面接手我的学弟妹交办的部分，那就是岂能尽如人意，但求无愧我心。这样，谢谢。
看起来在你的方面，就是人情方面的压力可能是比较大的那个阻碍，比起就是是不是自己想做的事，或是其他方面，反正就是比较不一样的一个立场。好，那就是转换跑道的时候，就是很多像观众朋友都会觉得说，转换跑道的时候很多不确定性。那就是两位不知道当初在做这个决定要转换跑道，不论是追求自己的兴趣，还是为了小孩的未来而去打算，或是说就是克服这些人情压力的时候，你们有做出什么样的风险管理吗？还是说你们是怎么应对你们这些就是前方的不确定性的？那这题我就请陈爱先开始。
好的，风险管理就是最大的担心当然是经济层面。我认为我自己当一个全职妈妈，它是一种跟家人共同讨论后的选择，它并不是一种妥协，也不是一种牺牲。那经济方面，其实我们都过得去，这样就好了。那另外一方面就是大家很多人都生活在美国，在现在这一个点一杯咖啡都要付20%小费的世界，那我们在 Panel One 的时候，好像也听到很多的前辈都说你很多事情家庭的成本都要外包，然后非常花钱的时候，其实我觉得当全职妈妈，我反而为家里做了蛮好的节流的效果。谢谢。
看来就是有很遇到前面，就是钱是一个非常大的因素，就是可能刚刚有提到说明年的主题考虑要不要跟钱有关，可能看起来是一个大家会很有兴趣的主题这样。那印尼方面有什么当初转换跑道的时候的不确定性，或是为了这个转换而做的风险管理，或是一些心理的准备吗？
我觉得在离职创业的时候，我觉得我算是比较幸运，就是我自己本身没有什么责任，就是没有小孩，然后顶多就是房贷，然后要养活自己。但是所以在离职创业之前呢，我唯一做的事情就是计算自己的存款，就觉得还过得去，还够烧个几个月几年，然后就决定离职创业了。可是我觉得在离职创业之后，那个即使已经心里面理性上知道说有足够的钱不用害怕，但是呢实际上还是没有办法避免就是焦虑的这一部分。因为以前已经习惯了每个月都有薪水进账，现在就是没有，就是你要很努力的才能得到报酬，所以有点不一样。但是我会觉得说，即使你做了很多的风险管理，你还是得要去跟焦虑相处。
非常有道理，而且看起来金钱果然是就是最主要的一个大家会觉得就是不确定的原因，就是不确定性啊，或是一个最需要考量的一个就是因子这样。那接下来我们想问的是说，因为很多人会担心说转换跑道，尤其像你们可能从原本在科技业的公司里面转换到一个自己创业的部分，或者说从一个医生的角色转换到全职妈妈或是创作者的角色的时候，好像感觉因为像一般人可能在同一个领域的话，会一直垂直的往上，或者想办法往上爬。那很多人会担心说，如果说我今天转换跑道，是不是一切都要从零开始，或是全部砍掉重练这样？那你们两个有觉得有当初一些在自己做转换之前的一些什么 经验有为你在转换跑道之后，让你觉得就是这个经验让你非常的有备而来，就是对你之后非常有帮助的吗？那这一题我们请艺宁先开始分享好了。
好，那我想要先讲一个最近发生的事情，就是我前阵子在跟我以前在新创公司的同事就是 catch up， 就聊聊天。然后他现在自己呢本身也自己出来开了接案公司，然后他就跟我说一句话，他就说我知道就是顾问的工作就是有时候比较不稳定啊，假设你有一些空闲的时间，或是你当下很急着需要一份工作，你就来我这边工作，或者你问我这边一定有案子给你接。那我当下听到是觉得很感动啦，但是我也知道说这个也不是一直都会有案子的可是他告诉我的一件事情是我们以前在新创公司工作的同事好像后来都出去创业了有些人是开了新创公司，也有人开了接案公司，然后也有人跟我一样是艺人的工作室，然后我们就形成一个很有趣的生态圈，就是在工作上有非常多的互相帮忙跟合作，所以我就觉得还蛮好的，就是我们以前在公司里面是工作上的好伙伴，现在是社会上的好伙伴。然后另外一个我的观察是，就是我们这些人都是曾经在新创公司里面工作过的，我们曾经都在资源非常少的地方工作，然后我觉得这让我们知道说怎么样可以透过资源比较少的方式，但是可以做到很大影响力，怎么样去以小博大。所以我觉得这些经验都帮助我们，跟帮助我，就是在创业的时候呢，有这些经验，然后帮助我们可以以小博大，不用有很大的团队就可以做出很大的影响力的事情。谢谢。
尤其就是因为你的转换跑道是就是出来创业这样，感觉这个经验，这个过去的经验就是给你的这个技能是非常重要，就是尤其你刚才说到就是金钱方面比较焦虑啊，就是可能是最大的难关这样，就是看起来那个以小博大的能力真的是为你带来非常多的帮助这样。那陈爱这边有什么就是你在转换跑道之前的一些经验，在你转换跑道之后，现在这个新的角色上有给你带来什么觉得非常为你做好准备的地方吗？
我有2个方面可以分享。第一个是做人处事。那我的以前医院工作的科别是妇产科，乍听之下好像是生小孩是单纯很欢乐的事情，但其实完全不是这样。在妇产科你会遇到癌症的病人的生离死别，你会遇到不孕症病人的一些挣扎挫折，你还会大概5%到10%的生产，不管是妈妈或宝宝都会有一些不顺利的情形。所以在这样的情况下，其实医院是一个高压力高强度的地方，那相对的同侪或者是主管跟你相处之间一定会有一些情绪在，所以我觉得在那几年我的训练中学到很快的就是要消化情绪，把别人给你的一些抨击，那其中有建设性的部分自己好好吸收起来反省改进，那至于情绪的部分就要学习就是不要往心里放，然后不要带回家等等的。那还有就是你在对各种的病人讲话的时候，你要学习说很多艺术，例如说不要把话说得太满，不要把话说得太死，还有就是找一些正向的事情来鼓励他等等的，这些都是我在那几年中学到的做人处事应对进退很多的资产。那所以在国外来到美国，其实我一开始是完全没有一些人际交友圈的，所以我就觉得说在我建立人际关系的时候，这对我都是非常有帮助的。那另外一方面就是我觉得在这边我觉得花很多时间在观察，那我觉得接下来我可能还是会回台湾继续工作，那我在这边开始观察这边的各行各业在经营自己，例如说social media 的行销都是已经非常蓬勃的。那在台湾的医师方面可能目前都还是比较专业，那长篇大论的一些图文卫教，那我的想法反而是我在我经营 IG 的时候会希望参考美国这边的不同的各行各业，他们用轻松诙谐的短影音来带入一些教育意义。 对，那是我觉得很有兴趣的。另外就是我在这边也观察发现一些风向，例如说这边的女性美容、私密处的医美这些东西是已经发展10几20年的，有非常非常好的市场。那我也嗅到这些风向，觉得说这是我可以进修的目标。那相信也对于我未来回台湾的 career 会有帮助。谢谢。
我觉得除了对于就是回台湾的 career 之后，就是身为创作者，在网络上面对各种声音，就是你在以前在医院历练过这些学习怎么不要往心里去啊，或是人情的压力，就是相信也会非常有帮助。
真的。
对，那再来就是对于其他也想要做一个这样子比较大的一个跑道转换的人，或是一些可能有在考虑，可能觉得自己在现在的领域不是自己最喜欢，然后想要稍微做一些改变的人的话，有没有什么建议是你们会想要分享给他们，或是说有没有什么事情是你希望你自己可以更早知道，然后可能可以少走一点冤枉路这样子，或者让你的人生更轻松简单一点这样？那我们就从陈爱先开始好了。
好，谢谢 Angela。我认为不管你是自愿或者是非自愿的想要离开现在的职场，我觉得必须要先认清你现在职场的最大的宝藏，那去好好的把它吸收到最饱最满。因为在你现在看可能觉得稀松平常很无聊的事情，那例如说我以前待的医院，长庚医院它的腹腔镜手术开得非常好，或者是高危险妊娠非常会处理，那我都会觉得千篇一律，每天很 routine。但当我离开医院，从大环境再往内看的时候，会觉得那些东西都是非常珍贵的资源。那至于你从原本的地方跳到新环境的时候，其实就如前面依宁跟我们说的，一开始你不会有薪水，那你可能也不会有证书，不会有学位来证明你的成就，所以记得要去好好的建立自己的一个同温层。那我在纽约其实蛮幸运的，有找到一群志同道合、那类似背景的妈妈朋友，那在遇到挫折的时候，大家互相分享经验，其实是蛮有帮助的。那还有就是最后我想说的就是说，我觉得只要你曾经付出的东西，就一定会是你的资产。那过去1-2年，其实例如说我拿的刀啊，都是菜刀、水果刀，然后我缝的东西啊，可能就是扣子或者小孩破掉的裤子这些东西。但是当上礼拜我刚好有一个机会去进行进修的时候啊，我就再重新拿起手术器械，那我发现其实手感都还在，所以就让我体会到我曾经在我住院医师生涯非常努力曾经付出耕耘过的事情，其实都在我的血液里面。那都是虽然我现在没有什么有形的资产，但是我可能就是其实还是有一些别人夺不走的无形的资产。那所以就是我们只要好好努力啊，不管每天就是不管是小事大事都努力去做，你每天都肯定自己的付出，那过了不久其实别人也会肯定你的付出。谢谢。
听起来你跟易你就是在这个朋友或是相关类似背景相同的在同一条船上面的人之间的支持，都是对你们是一个非常重要的一个援助这样。那易你有什么想要跟大家分享的建议，或是你希望你自己更早知道的事情吗？
我想要分享的是，刚刚前面有提到，就是因为离职创业，然后开始有金钱焦虑，就开始接案，然后接完之后呢，就开始没有时间想创业的事情，所以就有了时间的焦虑。所以其实它是两个焦虑加起来，那听起来好像很可怕，但是呢，我觉得现在想起来，我觉得这2个焦虑其实是在帮助我去思考什么事情对我而言是最重要的。所以其实后来我就发现，焦虑这件事情本身并非是一个坏事。所以我前面刚刚讲到，就是我想要帮助创业者管理他们的焦虑，就是因为我发现焦虑其实对我们有益处，但是过度焦虑呢，可能会让我们失焦。像我刚刚讲的，我太过焦虑金钱了，所以我就开始花我所有的时间在接案上面。但是其实呢，我应该要做的事情是，有这样子的焦虑，我必须要去处理它，然后我去了解说，其实对我而言最重要的事情是什么，然后找到那个最重要的事情，然后立刻去，把我的时间跟精力放在这件事情上，专注在那件事情上面。 所以我想要跟想要做一些改变或转换的人分享的就是，你在做改变或转换的时候，你一定会遇到一些焦虑，遇到一些挫折，遇到一些困难。可是这些都并不是坏事，它是帮助你去发现说什么事情是对你而言最重要的。所以不要害怕投资在这个上面，尊重你的梦想，然后如果有想做的事情就去做吧。
谢谢一年的分享，我觉得这也就是呼应到我们刚才第2个 panel 是 invest in me 嘛，就是除了我们这边在讲 invest in change 之外，就是对于自己的，不管说是情绪的管理啊，就是如何处理面对这个焦虑的感觉，或是说人际上面怎么找到跟自己有相关的一个背景，或是跟自己在同一条船上面的人，可以让自己有个 support system 这样子。就是我觉得这些除了是 invest in change 之外，听起来也都是就是 invest in me 非常的相关这样。那就是非常谢谢陈爱跟艺宁今天就是来当我们的 panelist， 然后跟我们分享你们的一些经验，你们做的一些改变，还有就是你们是如何面对这些困难，还有一些你们想要让大家知道的事情。就是非常谢谢你们加入，然后看起来金钱
谢谢 Angela，
非常大的一个主题，我们的明年的上面可能真的可以考虑用这个主题这样。好，谢谢2位，然后我就把这边时间交还给 Jasmine 跟 Lynn 进行 closing remark 的部分。
Hello, I'm so glad that you're all still with us. I just want to express our gratitude. Can we put up the slide of all the speakers and the moderators? Thank you for spending your Friday night, so genuinely sharing your stories, your insights, and doing this and supporting NATEA as a nonprofit. So thank you, thank you. I also want to thank our moderators for preparing the questions and really digging deep into these great stories. And last but not the least, just want to give a sincere shout out to all of our organizers, our working team. Not all of their pictures are on the slide, but nonetheless, they've spent months to make this event happen. This include our co-host, our media partner, logistics, IT, marketing. All of us are just so happy to make this happen, and we're just so grateful for all the speakers and also all of the working team. So thank you so much.
Thank you all for joining us on this incredible Friday evening or Saturday morning. I hope you got all this valuable key takeaway from all the speakers tonight. And we'll be sending out a post-event survey in the coming week. And we will greatly appreciate your feedback. If you enjoyed tonight's event, please follow NATEA on Facebook and sign up for our newsletter to stay updated on our upcoming event. Thank you, and we look forward to seeing you next year. Good night and good morning. See you next year.